It'll be another sellout crowd at Target Field. Twins fans hoping that the Twins can win this 4-game series against the Chicago White Sox and pick up another game on the first-place Chicago White Sox. It's been a great 48 hours for the Twins. Twins have won twice. Chicago's lost twice. Detroit's lost 3 times. The race is on in the American League Central. And we welcome you to Target Field. Bert Blythe and Dick Kramer for this series finale with the Chicago White Sox. It's not just that the Twins have won a couple of ball games, Bert. I think there's been a different feel to these 2 wins for the Twins because of how they won.
Well, the Twins lost the first game here on Thursday night, but then Friday night it was Francisco Liriano that pitched 7 2/3 innings, and the Twins won that ball game. And last night, only an hour 52 minutes for Carl Pavano to beat Mark Burley. Quite a pitching performance by both those guys. And here this afternoon, it'll be Nick Blackburn. Blackburn, let's look at the positive. He's 5-1 in 8 starts here at Target Field. That's the positive for Nick Blackburn. He needs a good outing. The leash is out on Nick Blackburn, and it's kind of short right now.
Well, another thing that's had a different feel about the last 2 games of this series with the Chicago White Sox, when the Twins are going good, when any team is going good, they get contributions from all 25 guys.
Yeah, 162 ball games played, and you just can't depend on 2 or 3 guys. You need everybody to step up. J.J. Hardy here on Friday night got a big base hit in a big inning for the Twins. Jesse Crain, remember John Roush struggled? Well, Jesse Crain picked up his first save since 2006. In last night's ball game, a 3-run inning highlighted by an RBI double by Valencia, Danny Valencia. Not a lot of major league at-bats, but he produced in that inning. And then you talk about defense. Twins take a lot of pride in their defense. J.J. Hardy, great defensive play. And then also defense. How about Butera's throw getting Juan Pierre? What a throw right there. And Butera, very excited about that.
So in the last 48 hours, the race has tightened up in the American League Central. The Twins have history on their side. Ron Gardenhire's been a very good second-half manager. Jim Rich will have more on that when we come back.
Everybody, I'm Jim Rich, and the Twins went into the All-Star break in 3rd place. A lot of people are a bit upset about that. But if you look back at the history of the Twins under manager Ron Gardenhire, there really isn't a lot to worry about because 5 times out of his 8 years, he has won this division. And only 2 times in his 8 seasons have the Twins not had a winning record after the All-Star game. Nick Blackburn gets the start this afternoon in the final game against the Sox. Dick and Bert have first pitch coming up next.
Your local Northland Ford dealers. Visit your local Northland Ford dealer or go to northlandford.com. By Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. And by Arby's. Come into Arby's today for their new $1 value menu.
Welcome back to Twins Baseball on My 29 as the Twins look to take the series from the Sox. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Rich, and the Twins went into the All-Star break in third place. A lot of people are a bit upset about that. But if you look back at the history of the Twins under manager Ron Gardenhire, there really isn't a lot to worry about because 5 times out of his 8 years he has won this division. And only 2 times in his 8 seasons have the Twins not had a winning record after the All-Star game. Nick Blackburn gets the start this afternoon in the final game against the Sox. Dick and Bert have first pitch coming up next here on My 29.
honestly believe these two teams could play each other for 4th or 5th place, and there'd still be a little buzz. It's a nice rivalry that the Twins have had with the White Sox, and as it is again this year, the teams are fighting it out for first place, the very top position in the American League Central.
Well, the Twins right now lead the season series over the White Sox 5-3, and 6 of the 8 games have been decided by 1 run.
And last night's game, the first game that There was not a save given in the season series, only because Carl Pavano completed the game. And there's a rule in baseball: you can't get a win and a save in the same game. The Verizon batting order for Ozzie Guillen. Juan Pierre done a nice job getting on base for the White Sox. He'll be followed by Omar Vizquel, Alex Rios, Paul Konerko, Carlos Quentin, Mark Kotze, Alexei Ramirez, Ramon Castro, Freddie Garcia's personal catcher, and then Gordon Beckham.
Well, let's take a look at the Schmeltz Countryside Volkswagen scouting report on Nick Blackburn. 7 wins, 7 losses so far this year, making his 18th start. And what he wants to do here this afternoon is do what Liriano and do what Pavano did. Get deep into the ball game. He needs a quality start. Over his last 8 starts, he's combined a 1-6 record with an ERA at 10. So 36 innings pitched over his last 8 outings. My California Mass tells me that's less than 5 innings a start. So he needs a quality start. Get deep into the ball game because his starting job is on the line.
Hasn't had a quality start since June 12th. Here's the Northland Ford defense for the Twins. Young, Span, and Kubel in the outfield. Valencia, Hardy, Hudson, Kadire in the infield. And the only change from last night, Mauer behind the plate. Valencia's done a nice job both in the field. He's made all the plays, and he's gotten some big hits for the Twins, including a big double last night that nearly cleared the fence in left center field.
Well, fewest errors made at the major league level, the Minnesota Twins. They take a lot of pride in their defense. And speaking of defense, one thing that Nick Blackburn has not been able to get over his last 8 starts is ground ball double plays. Only 3 ground ball double plays. And when Blackburn's on, last year he was second in the American League in ground balls made behind him in double plays. So hopefully he'll have that sinker here.
Pierre, Vizquel, and Rios to get things started. Pitch outside, ball 1.
A lot of people feeling that Blackburn's overthrowing a little bit, throwing too hard, and that creates that fastball to straighten out rather than have that good sink. So see if they'll try to shorten the stride up a little bit and get that ball down in the strike zone.
Ron Gardenhire has said that what they would like Blackburn to do too is throw less of the slider and more of the curveball to have a slower off-speed breaking ball. And Blackburn sticks the glove down, fumbles it, and throws to first. So a good start for Blackburn, a pretty sharp ground ball, but he's able to make the play.
Yeah, you want to keep, this guy Pierre off the bases, and right there's that breaking ball. And Blackburn, again, once you let that ball go, you become a middle infielder. And Blackburn putting the glove down, saying, thank you, I dropped it, but I'll get the out at first base. Good play.
So 1 gone, and here's Omar Vizquel. Up and away, ball 1. Vizquel making his 2nd straight start at third base. Diane Viciedo getting some time there as well. He committed a costly error in the ball game 2 nights ago. There's a bunt, and Vizquel
perfect.
Will reach with a bunt single.
Well, a perfect bunt right there. Well, Vizquel's played a long time at the major league level. He saw that Valencia was playing back, and even if Valencia was playing in on the grass, don't know if he would have been able to get Vizquel right there. Vizquel, that was his 2,743rd hit. That move ties him with Al Oliver now for 51st on the all-time hit list. And, throughout his career, 22 years at the major league level, he's had a very good career.
43-year-old guys aren't supposed to get bunt singles. He's 43.
Yep.
Rios at the plate.
Yeah, he and Jamie Moyer could start a retirement home together.
And a first pitch strike. And Blackburn gets ahead of Rios.
Well, one thing for Blackburn, you see the good numbers for Alex Rios is that he's had success against the Chicago White Sox. He's making his 13th start. He's 6-5 against the White Sox, 4-0 here in Minnesota. Now, this is the first start against the White Sox here at Target Field. But there's a positive right there. He's had some of his better games pitched against the White Sox. And he needs a good outing here. Changing his face a little bit with that little goatee and the long sideburns.
Blackburn with a nice fielding play. Fish Hardy and a double play. There's your ground ball double play, and he started it himself. here's the window concepts starting lineup for the Twins. Denard Span leading things off. Orlando Hudson hitting second. Joe Mauer back behind the plate hitting third. Jason Kubel, Michael Kadire, Jim Thome, Delman Young, Danny Valencia, and a surging J.J. Hardy hitting ninth.
And our Schmelz Countryside Sob's got a report on Freddie Garcia making his 17th start, looking for his 10th win. Currently on a 6-game winning streak where he is 6-0 with a 3.25 earned run average. He's been a very nice addition to Ozzie Guillen in that starting staff. A guy that really over the last 3 years kind of went through a lot of arm problems, had shoulder surgery, and he, over his last 3 years, able to win only 5 ball games.
A carry out to Rios, a pretty well hit ball for the first out of the inning. And the White Sox out in the field with Pierre, Rios, and Quentin in the outfield. Vizquel and Ramirez on the left side of the infield. Beckham, Kotze in at first, with Panerco the designated hitter, and as we said before, Castro the personal catcher for Freddie Garcia.
Yeah, Garcia's kind of gone through a couple changes in his career. When he first came up with Seattle, coming from over from Houston, he could throw that ball in the mid-90s. He's a completely different pitcher now. He kind of almost a Frank Tanana type pitcher, but a right-handed pitcher. He doesn't overpower a lot of guys now. He utilizes that split finger, works both sides of the plate, pretty good control. 29 walks, 2 intentional in 97 innings pitched.
Well, I was going to ask you to compare what Garcia is going to try to do today with what Burley has done. Burley, a left-handed version who pitches to the corners and goes in and out. Here's a drive to left field, hit right at Pierre. And the approach, I'm wondering whether it wouldn't be the same. It seems like when teams have had success against Burley, they've hit the ball to the opposite field. Might not be a bad idea to try to do that today.
Well, you can see the strikeouts. 60 strikeouts in 97 innings pitched. So he's not going to have that game where he's going to strike out 10 or 12 guys. He's going to make you put the ball in play. How does he do that? By throwing strikes. 29 walks, again, 2 intentional. And keeps the ball in the ballpark. Does a good job of that. 13 home runs allowed in his first 16 starts.
A couple of quick outs here in the first, and Mauer at the plate, 10 for 26 in his career against Garcia.
See, even that pitch right there, he doesn't give you that lot of drive off of that pitching rubber. It's nice and easy, but he knows his mechanics now. He's got to be nice and easy over the pitching rubber, and then he can pop that ball once in a while in the low 90s like that right there. That's clocked at 85 here. You can see it just nice and easy, get to that balance point, and then explode. And he doesn't have that drive, off. Right. He keeps low in that he's more of a stand-up type of pitcher.
Well, there's hardly any follow-through at all. We've watched Nick Blackburn, and he doesn't really bend over and drive off the pitching rubber. This guy takes it to another level. He's just kind of flipping it up there.
Well, that's his game. That's how he's won his last 6 ball games and has really, really done a great job for that starting staff.
78 miles per hour on the outside corner, 2-2.
He's making his 3rd start this season against the Twins. He lost one, he won one, and he pitched both. He pitched well in both games.
2-2 to Mauer. And that's down the line and down for a hit. Mauer with an extra base hit with 2 gone. And Mauer continues to have success against Garcia. He took 4 pitches, all of them off the plate or on the outside corner, and Garcia put another one out there and he drilled it.
Well, it's not like, it's not like facing, say, Gavin Floyd. It's kind of like facing Mark Burley, but a right-handed hitter. Like a right-handed pitcher, you have to wait back. You have to try to hope he gets a ball up like he did right there to Mauer, and you kind of take it back up the middle or hit it the other way. So Mauer with his 27th double, that leads the Twins in doubles.
Span with a liner up the middle of the field. Hudson hitting it the other way. Mauer hitting it the other way. And now here's Kubel. .78 down the heart of the plate. It wasn't that long ago. We had a right-handed pitcher, Bob Tewksbury, who threw in the 70s, low to mid-80s, and that was about all he could do.
Oh, we saw Carl Pavano last night. How many times did he start a hitter off with an 80-mile-an-hour changeup?
Right. Down and away, 1-1.
Garcia's past that point of looking up at the speed, at the pitch speed. His job is to make good quality pitches, change speeds, keep the ball down, hopefully, and in the ballpark.
And a little dribbler with Kubel rolling over and grounding out weakly to Beckham to end the inning. Bauer left at second base, no score after an inning.
I'm a fielder as a pitcher, and you can see where J.J. Hardy now. Blackburn knows who's covering right here. So when Rios hit that ball back to him, he makes sure, little crow hop right there, that he gives Hardy a good throw and a perfectly executed play. This is why in spring training every day the pitchers do PFP, pitchers fielding practice. Little plays like that can win or lose you a ball game. And that was a very good timing by Blackburn. He had to wait for Hardy to get to the bag, throw it on the shortstop side, allow Hardy to get the ball, go through the bag, and make the throw over to Kadire. Very nicely executed.
And it's the difference between facing Konerko with the bases empty, leading off an inning, or having him come to the plate with men on base. 1-0 to Konerko, who has struck out in a couple of key at-bats late in the last two games. Doinked over the Twins dugout, now to play 1-1.
Yeah, Jesse Crain struck him out to end here on Friday night, a big strikeout. And then last night, my goodness, did Carl Pavano bear down 3 pitches. He struck out Konerko with a runner at third base and 1 out.
1-1. Hard ground ball hit right to Valencia. Perfect throw across, 1 away. Everything kept in the infield through 4 at-bats against Blackburn. Twins baseball on My 29, brought to you by Comcast High Definition.
And that's another good sign for Blackburn. Get ground ball outs. We've seen a lot of fly ball outs off the bat of the opposing teams when Blackburn's been on that mound as of late. He wants to get back to where he was in May, and this is why, you know, the leash is out there. It may be a short leash, but Blackburn knows he's pitching to stay in the rotation. He has struggled, but if he can go back to where he was in May, 5-0 with a 2.65 ERA, won't that be a nice addition to the starting staff in the second half?
Now, Kevin Millwood and James Shields have passed him in the home runs allowed department. He's now 3rd in the league in giving up home runs. But when you are a sinker baller and you are leading the league in home runs allowed, clearly something was wrong.
Yeah, he worked 205 innings last year. That's the most he's pitched at the major league level. Gave up 25 home runs, comes in, you know, giving up 19 home runs in 97 innings pitched. So he knows that. He needs to just, you know, relax a little bit, stay over that pitching rubber, and if you miss down in the strike zone like he's been doing so far.
2-1 to Carlos Quentin. Hit by a pitch here a couple of nights ago. And is 0 for 6 since getting plunked by Kevin Slowey. And now 3-1 with Kotsay on deck.
You know, the Twins sometimes are so concerned about not walking anybody either, but you know what? You still have to make a quality pitch right here. You still don't want to say, okay, here's a 3-1 fastball, go ahead and hit it, because this guy's got power. He can hit it out. Still make a good quality pitch here.
Drilled to center, and Span cuts over. And Quentin hits it right on the button for round number 2.
Yeah, he got lucky with that. He got away with that. Joe Mauer sitting inside, and I actually don't know why. Because, you know, if you miss out over the plate right here, it's hard to throw a 3-1 fastball inside. To me, you have to establish down and away. Mauer's got to sit down and away. He doesn't need to sit right there, because you're trying to throw a strike, and what's Quentin trying to do on a 3-1 pitch? Hit it out of the ballpark. So make him go against his power, and that's out over the plate.
Here's Kotze. Swing and a miss. I think it's fair to say that in the first couple innings we've seen Blackburn throw more pitches in the low 80s rather than everything in the upper 80s, low 90s.
Well, when he throws 91 to 93, his fastball's straight. When we saw him at his best, and he pitched a great ball game against the Braves here, even though he got a no decision, his last quality start, he changed speeds extremely well. He kept the ball down nicely, and he kind of cut his stride down a little bit, didn't try to overthrow, allow his arm to catch up to his body, and that creates that good downward plane. You know, it sounds simple, but sometimes it's hard to do.
But they've had meetings with Blackburn, and they were going to have another meeting with him today to impress upon him the importance of changing speeds and keeping hitters off balance.
Hey, see, the high is 93, the low is 79 so far for Blackburn, but I think he's best when he's like 87 to 91 as far as that fastball is concerned.
Lifted foul and out of play.
I bet you that 93 might have been the Carlos Quentin that he hit that ball sharply to Span.
You know, and if you pitchers still keep a chart, don't they, the night before they pitch?
Yes. Well, I mean, we did. Yes, I don't know if they still do.
You know, Blackburn, boy, what a clinic the two pitchers pitching last night did about changing speeds, pitching to the corners of the strike zone, and keeping hitters off balance. I mean, you couldn't have asked for two better examples than the two starting pitchers last night.
And not giving in to the hitter. Make the hitter hit your pitch, not a 3-1 fastball. Here it is, and luckily, you know, Quentin hit it sharply at Bernard Span. But change speeds, keep the ball down. And if you walk somebody, you walk somebody.
Just off the inside corner, 2-2.
See, that's a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, but there was a good purpose behind that. That was a great location, even though he missed inside. Now go to that little sinker down and away and get a ground ball out. There you go.
It's easy.
From here, yes.
So far, all the White Sox have gotten against Blackburn is a bunt single.
inning. And Ron Gardenhire, as we mentioned earlier, has won 5 of 8 division titles. And I talked to Michael Kadire about that this morning, and he says success has been key to the trust that's been built among the players here with the club. That he has spent time, he and the other veterans, installing that confidence in the young guys. And he says it all comes from Gardy because he has trust in his guys. In other words, Cuddy said he may have thought twice about playing a position he hasn't played in 5 years.
And Kadire right off the end of the bat, a little roller in front of the plate, and Castro throws him out, 1 down.
Yeah, a little swinging bunt right there. And what Jim Rich is talking about right there is just playing the game every day. You know, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, but it's the veterans that kind of lead by example. Kadire right there hustling down the line, but it's Castro that has to come out. And we showed that the other night on the instructional with Tim Laudner about the catcher coming out, getting behind the ball and making a quick throw to get Kadire out.
And Garcia's gotten the last 2 hitters way out in front. Here's Jim Thome with 1 gone in the second.
Yeah, I was going to say in the first inning about Garcia, he's the type of pitcher that you get yourself out. You know, you have to wait and wait and wait sometimes because he throws nice and easy. You know, his fastball sometimes sneaky fast, but that's the way you want to try to hit Garcia. Mauer did it in the first inning, and right there, a ball left up. Thome taking it the other way.
A Chevy game break coming your way, and we take you to Progressive Field in Cleveland. Johnny Peralta with a high fly to center field. Was that Brennan Bosch out there in center field? It'll be a 3-run inside the park home run. Ryan Rayburn, the center fielder.
There's Bosch throwing the ball in. And how about that? The Indians beating the Tigers twice yesterday.
And it's 5-0 this afternoon. Short start. Here's a high drive to deep left field. Gone! A 2-run home run for Delman Young.
Home run number 11 for Delman Young. Looked like a breaking ball, and boy, did he wait back nicely. Leading the club now with 62 RBIs. That breaking ball right into the swing of Delman. If you ever come early and watch batting practice, wow, I mean, that's a batting practice type of a swing right there. He and Kadire always seem to hit it up in that second, third deck up there.
There's Danny Valencia, who nearly hit one out in the same part of the ballpark last night. He takes a fastball, strike 1. Boy, you see the importance of location, don't you? Castro was set up down and away, and Garcia left it out over the inner half of the plate, and Young blasted it. Up high, 1-1. I was in the middle of a sentence, a short start today for Andy Oliver of the Tigers, as they are in danger of being swept in the 4-game series by the Indians. 1-1 to Valencia. And now 2-1.
Again, the Tigers really struggling on the road. Great at home, 32-13 at home, but 16-28 coming in today's play on the road. So 2 different type of teams, almost the way we played in '87. Great at home, we stunk it on the road.
Pick up by Vizquel. Valencia retired, with Valencia pulling a ground ball to the third baseman, 2 down. When you think about it, the Tigers have been around for as long as there's been an American League. Yesterday, figuratively, literally, had to be one of the longest and worst days to be a Detroit Tiger. They had a split doubleheader in Cleveland. The Indians are struggling. They lost both games by 1 run. They were at the ballpark for about 15 hours yesterday because in the 9th inning of the nightcap, there was a 2-hour rain delay. And then they lost in 11 innings.
Boy, it's terrible being a major league player, isn't it? Having to stay at the ballpark for that long? That's not right.
2 down, and here's J.J. Hardy.
And pay the money that they pay you? This game is just not right.
Hardy telling me this morning his injured wrist that really set his season back completely healed. And he delivers an opposite field hit to get the lineup turned over here in the second.
Oh, great article on J.J. Hardy about his relationship with Joe Vavra and what they've been working on. And he's just said, you know, I found myself trying to maybe do a little bit too much and just try to stay back, and opened up very nicely there. His hips opened up and hit that ball to right field.
Span, who went a liner to center to start the ball game. The Twins, first time through the order, have 4 hits and a couple of runs against Freddie Garcia. You look how soft he throws, and you think, well, he must have had some really rough starts. He's really only had 2 poor starts. At Toronto early in the season, and then against the Marlins where he gave up 7 earned runs. But other than that, he's done what you'd want any pitcher to do. He's given his team a good chance to win every other time out.
He's really pitched well on the road as of late. Over his last 6 road starts, he's 5-0 with an ERA at 3.72. Again, currently on a 6-game winning streak over his last 8 starts, and 9-1 over his last 12 starts with 10 quality starts. So he's been a nice addition for a guy that won 5 games from 2007 to last year.
The strike on the outside corner.
Last 3 years, 2007 to last year, he made only 23 starts. Some with the Phillies, some with the Tigers, some with the White Sox. He was 5-10 with a very high ERA. So again, very nice addition for Ozzie Guillen.
And some of the credit goes to his catcher, Ramon Castro, who has been his personal catcher. And their relationship goes back a long way, back to 1996 when they were both playing for the Quad City Club in the Midwest League. 2-2. So they've got a nice little mojo going here between the pitcher and catcher.
Well, look at the umpire right there, Dan Sonia. Now, you know what? I mean, as Castro moved, he stayed right there. He didn't move. So that pitch on the outer half of the plate, I think it's going to be harder. He's going to give you a little bit more away than he will inside.
2-2 to Span.
Well, he won't give you that much away, but you keep trying. What the heck? You know, when the ball is straight over the inner half of the plate, the umpire sees it. I mean, he's right there. But that pitch right there, if that ball's maybe a ball over, that's a strike, even though it's probably 3 or 4 inches off the plate. That's where you pitch to the umpire, too. You see what he will give you and what he will not give you.
Hardy goes, and the pitch foul back. Now, do they teach that in umpiring class? Because I mean, to me, it's no more than guesswork. When you're lined up as far inside as a home plate umpire is, you can't accurately call strikes on the outside corner. It's impossible.
Well, that's why it's important for Garcia and Blackburn, when you have an umpire like what Dan Sonia is doing right here, is you have to hit the glove. You know, Castro's going to sit outside, and he's going to go right to that corner, and if he hits that corner, he may give it. And that's why Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine had great control and always around the spot of where that glove is. You make that 17-inch plate become a 23-inch plate. Do we need that plate again? Is it plate here? We'll show it again. We have no camera.
Well, look where the home plate umpire's right foot is. Right. It's in alignment with Span's feet. I mean, that's how far inside he is. He's looking over into the left-handed batter's box.
I see he had to move a little bit right there.
Fly to center, and an easy play for Rios. Twins are done. But they got 3 hits, and they got a big fly from Delman Young to jump out in front 2-0. South Dakota.
Very nice.
It's not the heart of the Twins territory. It's got to be the spleen or the kidneys of Twins territory. Toyota game reset.
Well, Delman Young hitting his 11th home run of the year. A big 2-run home run to give Blackburn a 2-0 lead. And Blackburn so far 2 very good innings.
Ramirez takes low, ball 1. Well, going to South Dakota on caravan, and I think the most loyal Twins fans around sometimes are the ones in the outstate area that don't get a chance to watch the games maybe on a everyday basis at the ballpark. 1-1 to Ramirez.
A lot of great baseball fans down that way.
Ramirez, Castro, and Beckham facing Blackburn here in the 3rd. And all 3 pitches, Ramirez has acted like he might want to bunt.
Well, that's why that brings in your 3rd baseman, Valencia. He was playing in on the grass right there. Take the bunt away from him.
And then do that.
Yep.
Ramirez playing games with the Twins' 3rd baseman, and he ends up at 2nd with a double.
Well, no better example of why guys sometimes fake the bunts to bring in the 3rd baseman. It cuts down that 3rd baseman's range because Valencia has to come in. He's in on the grass. You see where he's at right there. And then the ball inner half of the plate, and Ramirez spins on it. Now, if he's back a little bit, he may be able to catch that ball. But because he's so close, that ball got by him in a hurry.
So a runner at 2nd leading off the 3rd. And here is Ramon Castro. Castro's actually hit a little bit for the White Sox too. And Blackburn delivers ball 1.
Yeah, Castro, a veteran. This is his 2nd season with the White Sox. He started the season on a disabled list, activated in the early part of May. This is his 12th season at the major league level. Spent a lot of time with the Marlins, the Mets.
Came inside, and of course Blackburn would like to get a 2-hopper to 3rd rather than a 2-hopper to 2nd.
One thing that Ramon Castro has done is he's basically Freddie Garcia's catcher. You know, there are certain pitchers that like throwing to certain catchers, and Castro and Garcia have really clicked together. You think of Tim McCarver and Steve Carlton. There's been a lot of combination of pitchers that have liked their own personal catcher.
And as we said, who better to milk the most out of Freddie Garcia than somebody who caught him 14 years ago in the minor leagues? 1-2.
And that's how you stay at the major league level a lot of years. I mean, Tim McCarver, he couldn't hit.
Right.
You know, if you ask him, he could. But like Joe Gragiola, but they're around for a reason. They're a very good handler of a pitching staff and certain pitchers. Good stop right there by Joe Mauer.
A check swing by Castro, and it's 2-2.
Greg Maddux. I'm trying to think who I know Henry Blanco was there, but there was not Perez. There was another catcher that was his personal catcher.
I want to say it might have been Henry Blanco.
Well, I mean but someone before Henry.
Well, was Girardi his catcher when he was with the Cubs?
Well, I'm thinking of Atlanta.
Okay. Just outside a close pitch. It's a full count. Well, Blackburn, of course, has been guilty of letting things snowball against him, and he wants to make sure as he pitches through the bottom of the Chicago lineup here that doesn't happen. He's nowhere in his game plan does a walk to Castro fit in. He wants to get him here and get an out. And Castro taps it foul. Full count. Twins in front 2-0 on the strength of a Delman Young 2-run home run.
I always say if you are able to pitch deep in a ball game, there's going to be 1, 2, maybe 3 innings that, if you go 9 like Pavano did last night, there's going to be 1 or 2 innings that you're going to have to really pitch. And this is one of these innings right here.
There's the ground ball to 3rd. Valencia, nice fielding play. That ball came up around his armpit, and he was able to make the catch 1 away. If you're traveling this season, you can take the Minnesota Twins with you. Subscribe to MLB.tv and see Twins games live or on demand. You can get your subscription tonight at twinsbaseball.com, MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere.
I'll tell you what, Danny Valencia's done a great job. He has not made an error yet at third base. He's getting some big hits like he did in last night's 3-run second inning, and playing very solid at third base.
Here is Beckham, and a first pitch strike.
Hey, this is not an easy play. You know, Castro hitting this ball sharply, and the ball actually came up on him a little bit, playing off the line. And nice soft hands right there, and he flips it over to Kadire for the first out, and that keeps Ramirez at second.
It's nice that he's hitting over 300. It's nice that he hasn't committed an error, but I think what's been equally impressive for the Twins brass, how he's carried himself. He was told in the offseason, look, it's better to be seen and not heard. Just go about your business like a professional. Foul back. Remember, Valencia last year was not called up in September. He had a good AAA season going, and the assumption was that he'd get at least a look up here and get a chance to get his feet wet up here. It didn't happen, and Valencia's handled all of that, I think, extraordinarily well.
Well, if you're good, your time will come to play at the major league level. You know, no matter how many years you spend in the minor leagues, if you have major league potential, you will get that opportunity.
1-2, and a pick off to second. There's play.
That's always a good play right there, just to show Ramirez, hey, don't go too far off that bag, because Orlando Hudson, who's kind of shading him a little bit up the middle right there, and a little spin around, and a good throw right there by Blackburn. That's what you want to do, is throw it about chest high, allow that second baseman to catch it first, and hopefully apply the tag. Now, what Hudson could have done right there, he could have dropped the knee down like Bobby Grich always did.
And the tapper foul. You know, Blackburn battled Castro, and he got him to pull the ball on the ground, but if you give up a stolen base here, then that negates getting that first out and freezing the runner.
That's why that block of Joe Mauer in that Castro at bat is big, and that's what Joe said. You know, sometimes those little blocks that he did with that breaking ball to Castro, that block right there kept Ramirez at second.
1-2 to the number 9 hitter. Very high, 2-2.
Now, this guy has not been a number 9 hitter to the Minnesota Twins. He's played 20 games against the Twins, and he's hitting .356 in those 20 ball games with 6 home runs, 2 of them coming this year, and he's driven in 14 runs. So don't let that .226 batting average fool you if you're the Minnesota Twins.
2-2. Base hit to left. Ramirez around third. Young comes up throwing. And the ball cut off, and Beckham, the number 9 hitter, drives in Ramirez from second base. It's 2-1.
See, there's that pest again. You know, confidence is a big thing, and a lot of times when you have the confidence, Beckham has been struggling, but he knows that he's had success against the Twins. He wants to come to the ballpark because of pitches like that. That ball came right back into the swing of Beckham, hits it sharply in the left field. Delman Young comes up, makes a good throw, but Ramirez scores. And that's a 2-1 ball game. So Beckham is 26th run driven in.
Juan Pierre hit the ball sharply his first time up. It was knocked down by Blackburn. Stayed with it, threw him out at first. Fastball inside, ball 1. Beckham goes, and the pitch grounded to second. Hudson held his ground. Throws to Kadire, out number 2.
I think Ozzie Guillen tried a little hit and run right there. It worked here, you know, on Thursday night. Didn't work right there.
4 times it worked Thursday night. Sunday, of course, Twins territory here on My 29. Next Sunday, we will be in Baltimore to wrap up yet another 4-game series. Twins and Orioles Sunday at 12:30 on My 29.
Now, see, Blackburn's the type of pitcher that a hit and run can be put on, I think, a little bit more than a hard-throwing pitcher or guy that's going to strike you out. Blackburn is a contact-type pitcher that's always around the plate, so hit and runs are usually put on better against a guy like Blackburn than, maybe a hard-throwing pitcher that's a strikeout pitcher like Liriano.
Strike on the outside corner, and you'd have to put Slowey in that group as well, wouldn't you?
Now, we talked about Garcia, about maybe getting a little bit outside, and you can see that ball right there. That's probably maybe 3 or 4 inches outside, but because of where the home plate umpire is set up, it'll give you a little bit more away.
3-4 inches, 6 to 8 inches. What's the difference? I've never seen an umpire line up this far inside.
Well, it's not as much. He spreads out, so it's not as much as, a lot of umpires will keep their feet together. He spreads out, but it's where his head is. The mask is directly over that part of the plate right there. That's where he's at. So he can't see that angle. You see, that ball is a strike. I guarantee you, but he's right there, and that ball might have missed by an inch if it missed at all, but he'll give you 3 or 4 inches outside. That looks like a pretty good pitch right there. Now let's see what he's looking at right here. Right on the overhead. Great view right here. See, he's sitting right on that inner corner. And I don't quite understand why they keep working inside when he's given you 3 or 4 inches away.
A wild pitch allowing Beckham, the tying runner, to move to third. Well, umpires started doing that when the American League got rid of the inside protector, right? It used to be with the balloon protector. The umpires would be right behind the catcher.
Right.
And in my mind, what do I know about umpiring? But in my mind, you'd have a more accurate view of what the strike zone is when you're positioned directly in the middle of it.
Well, every umpire has a different strike zone. They can say, it's from the letters to the knees and that 17-inch, corner to corner, but every umpire has their own strike zone, and that's the hardest part. We had Tim Laudner up here the other night, and Timmy was talking about, he liked it when there was American League umpires and National League umpires, because Dan Iasana, he may not be behind the plate for Nick Blackburn for the rest of this year, maybe not even next year. Who knows? Because of the way they rotate now.
Well, we'll never go back to that, though. I mean, they've merged the two league umpires, and they're not going to go back to it.
Well, the National League they went to the inside protector a lot sooner than the American League. American League stayed with that balloon type of protector for a long time, and the National League went to the inside protector so they could get down, and they always said the National League was a low ball strike league, and the American League was more of a high ball strike league.
2-2. And a little flip foul into the seats.
And again, everything has been in. When he got the call about 3 inches outside for strike one, they haven't gone back out there again.
Mescal dropped down a bunt single in the first inning. Blackburn with 47 pitches thrown, trying to get off the field in the third with a 1-run lead.
You pitch to the hitter, but you also pitch to the umpire. Back inside again.
Little pop-up should end the inning. Hardy with the catch, and Blackburn strands Beckham in third. Ramirez scores after the leadoff double. It's 2-1. Not won back-to-back games in July until last night. Got a 2-1 lead. It'll be Hudson, Mauer, and Kubel facing Freddie Garcia in the Twins' third. Strike one. Hudson with a fly ball to left his first time up. Twins got their 2 runs last inning on a 2-run home run by Delman Young. After the game, a fierce storm blew through the downtown area. The ballpark survived it well. I know that many homes had trees down and some damage. And Hudson rolls over on one. Pulls it to Kotze. Garcia covers, one away. And that'll bring up Mauer.
Yeah, the sirens were actually on downtown. So
I pulled over for a while. I drove through the storm in the direction from which it was coming. And a little bit of hail, and I heard the sirens going. And a weird sunset and a weird rainbow, and I'm just glad that
yeah, I got my truck washed for free. That's the way I looked at it.
I think I was at the worst storm that ever hit Metropolitan Stadium as a fan when I was a kid. Strike one to Mauer. The ballpark, Met Stadium, had the light standards bent. Some damage inside the stadium. The game on that Friday night postponed against the Senators. One strike to Mauer. He doubled into the left field corner his first time up. Now he pulls one to the right side. The Twins are kind of falling, I think, into Garcia's trap. 2 down.
Well, see, Garcia again, he's all about changing speeds and, you know, making yourself get out. And right here, the breaking ball just kind of hangs right there, and Joe right there, he just got a little bit ahead of himself and hit that ground ball, as Orlando Hudson did for the first out.
Twins have 4 hits. 3 of them have gone to the opposite field. The only one pulled was Young's home run. And now Kubel takes a 70-mile-per-hour offering for strike one.
Big slow curveball. Add and subtract. We saw both pitchers do that last night extremely well, Burley and Pavano. You know, you take batting practice before the game, and usually, you know, Scotty Alger or somebody out there, Rick Anderson, throwing, you know, nice speed, probably, you know, 65, 70 miles an hour. Guys hitting them all over the place, and all of a sudden during the ball game, you know, you turn the lights on, and you hear that you're facing the same guy, but he's throwing breaking balls, he's throwing that split finger. So far, 87 as high and 70 as low.
Off the wrist of Beckham and into short right field. Kubel's aboard with a hit. Beckham had no choice but to just kind of stick the glove out and hope that he grabbed that wicked first hop, and it looked like it bit him right in the wrist.
I say you get yourself out, but then when he leaves a pitch up, then you hammer it, and that's exactly what Jason Kubel did. Garcia left the ball to his liking, and he hit that one hopper in front of Beckham. And Beckham knocking it down, but the ball ends up in short right field.
Flexing that left hand. Mark Teahan is still on the shelf, still a couple 3 weeks away from taking a ground ball against his bare hand and breaking a finger, similar to what happened to Matt Tolbert a few weeks ago. Here's Kadire. Got a fastball and fouled it back. Kadire fooled on an off-speed pitch and just hit a little 30-foot roller in front of home plate, leading off the second inning.
They call those a little swinging bunt. Kadire, since June 30th, over his last 14 ball games, hitting at .327 coming into this ball game. 6 doubles, a couple home runs.
He started out like this ballpark was meant for him. He had 4 or 5 home runs here at Target Field right away, and he hasn't hit one here for quite a while.
So there's that pitch outside. Again, now we reverse it with a right-handed hitter up. And Asana is now on the inner half of the plate. And Castro, you get that call.
1-2 to Kadire. But not that call. If the White Sox win the division, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to credit this guy right there, because at the start of the year, Burley was struggling, Danks was struggling, Floyd was struggling, and Garcia was the rock of the starting rotation. Here's Kadire driving one left center field. Down for a hit. And it'll go all the way to the wall. Kubel's going to score, and Kadire is going to dinger on second on his way to third. A big 2-out hit and another Twins run. So a pair of 2-out hits gets the one back that the White Sox got in the top of the third.
Well, one thing we have seen at Target Field here, it's a doubles, triples type field. You know, home runs are hard to come by, but then again, when you hit this ball like Kadire did, watch this ball right here. Splits the outfielders, rolling all the way to the wall, and it's a long way out there. 411 feet out to that bullpen. So Kadire getting an RBI triple, his 4th triple of the year, driving in his 42nd run. And the Twins are able to get that run back.
Thome takes outside, ball one, singled sharply to left, and scored in front of Young's home run. Inside, 2-0.
He's pumping up. That pitch was 88 miles an hour. He'll show that fastball, and then here comes that split finger or the curveball.
And Freddie Garcia a little upset. He didn't get the strike call there.
But again, Blackburn didn't get it either. Same pitch, inner half of the plate.
Two 2-0 to Thome. And a little 3-hopper to short. And that'll end the inning. Twins got one back. Kadire's triple driving in Kubel. And it's 3-1. Ray Griffin from Avon wondering if you can have 2 Tommy John surgeries. Joe Nathan's only had 1, but have there been any pitchers that have had the procedure repeated? The answer is yes. There have been a handful of pitchers. The first one didn't hold, and they've had to find another tendon or a ligament someplace and transplant it into the elbow again.
That's amazing surgery.
And that's into right field. Rios with a first pitch single starting a 4th. Big day for Joe Nathan tomorrow. He's going to pick up a baseball and throw it. And given all the rehab he's had to go through since surgery in the middle of March, it's going to be a big step forward. And of course, he'll have everybody around him making sure he doesn't overdo it.
He said he'd like to stay out there all day, but you know, it's just baby steps right now for Joe Nathan.
Paul Konerko, the hitter, with Rios at first and nobody out. The news not as encouraging for Clay Condrey, who is yet to pitch for the Minnesota Twins. Sometime soon he's going to have the plasma injection, hoping that he can avoid major surgery. If they have to resort to surgery for him, he was explaining it to me this morning, it's a different type of major procedure. It's not the Tommy John surgery, but for Condrey, he's got a partially frayed tendon. It's not the ligament, it's the tendon, and they would have to remove the tendon completely and then reattach it. And he hopes to avoid that because at his age that would potentially be a career-ending procedure.
Well, Blackburn needs a ground ball right here.
Yeah, tapper foul, 1 and 2.
Good pitch to get a ground ball. Good pitch down. Blackburn's been able to get 15 ground ball outs so far. Excuse me, double plays turned behind him.
7 ground ball outs so far here this afternoon. One and 2 to Konerko. Rios is a threat to steal, but one thing Blackburn has done a nice job of this year, he's tightened up his approach to the opponent's running game.
Yeah, very quick home. He does a good job of changing his little mannerisms before he throws the ball. Come set, hold it a little bit longer sometimes than other times. Pretty quick home with that slide step.
Popped up. And Konerko might have gotten a hanging breaking ball. And Hudson in the outfield grass puts it away, 1 down. And that'll bring up Quentin.
Yeah, only 3 stolen base attempts against Blackburn. Here the breaking ball kind of left. Took a little off, and that's that changeup, almost like that's where that curveball. They want him to throw more curveballs than the slider because the slider is always the same speed. With a curveball, you can use it as a changeup, and you saw Konerko getting underneath that. And it's also a pitch that goes across a couple planes rather than a slider will just cut across one plane of that strike zone.
Here's Quentin, hit a liner to Span his first time up. Mentioned Quentin hit by a pitch the other day by Kevin Slowey. He did not play on Friday night, got back on the lineup when hitless last night. The White Sox are trying to encourage Quentin to wear some protection, some body armor to keep his wrists and elbows protected because he gets hit by pitches so often.
He's a guy that leans right over the plate too. His elbows are almost in the strike zone. Good off-speed pitch right there. Quentin swinging through it. Stay focused out there, Nick Blackburn. Get that ground ball right here. See where Quentin is now. Watch when he gets ready to go. His hands are almost on that inner half of the plate. Good sinker down and in.
And 2 quick strikes to Quentin. Came into this series as the hottest Chicago hitter before the break, with 4 home runs in the 6 games prior to, or 6 home runs in the 4 games prior to the All-Star break. Blackburn doesn't have a strikeout yet. Hoping to get a ground ball hit at somebody here on an 0-2 pitch. Runner goes. Mauer's throw in there and plenty of time to get Rios. Out number 2.
Well, both the Twins catchers have outstanding arms. If that pitcher allows him to make a good throw, and Rios did not have a good jump right here. He tries to steal a base, but Joe comes out, makes a perfect throw to Hudson. Hudson applies the tag, and Rios is thrown out for the 10th time in 33 attempts. So a solid throw right there by Joe Mauer. Good job by Nick Blackburn making sure he didn't get a good jump.
And 2-2. And as far as a pitch for a catcher to handle, that had to have been an ideal pitch. The fastball up. Mauer just simply had to catch it, get his feet under him, and deliver a good throw. Two and 2 to Quentin. And now full count. Hardy cuts it off. Off balance throw. Safe. A tremendous play by Hardy. And how about Kadyr's butterfly stretch at first?
Yeah, we saw Kadir do that yesterday. But a great effort right there, and the fans really like it here, giving Hardy a very nice round of applause. Hardy had to go for this ball. And ball hit right in the hole. He has to try to backhand it and then get up and then still able to get something on that throw. Kadir fully stretched out, but Quinton barely beat it out.
Pretty good stretch by a guy who's not used to making that play at first base. Well, here's Mark Kotsay. A couple of hits now for the White Sox in the fourth, but there are 2 outs and a runner at first. Kotsay hit a ground ball to Kadir his first time up. And now he'll hit one to Hudson. 4 good innings for Nick Blackburn, and he's got a 2-run lead.
To go back to 2007 when the Twins were in Oakland on June 2nd. It was Carlos Silva against Joe Blanton. Both of them had complete games in that one, and Twins lost that ball game 1-0.
We said at the outset we had about a 2-hour window to get the game in. If it had gone 2:10, I'm not sure we would have gotten out of here anytime before midnight with the storm that hit right after the game ended.
Well, that's just an off-speed pitch, probably a split finger right there, getting away from him. Delman, who hit the 2-run home run off of Garcia in his first at-bat.
Takes outside, 2-1.
Pretty good slider right there.
Tapper up the line, foul, 2-2. Garcia had to make the team out of spring training. They weren't sure what they were going to get from him, and he did not have a good spring training, but partly by default, they gave him a chance to start the season with the team, and he's just been marvelous for them. Swing and a miss. He gets a strikeout of Delman Young to start the fourth.
Well, the first strikeout of the ball game for either pitcher.
The midway point of the inaugural season at Target Field, you might want to think about next year already. You can step into the Twins on deck circle and get priority for season tickets next year. For a minimal deposit, you can put yourself in line for all the different season ticket plans available. Call 800-33-TWINS or go to twinsbaseball.com for all the details on the Twins on deck circle. Here's Danny Valencia. He takes ball 1. Hits the outside corner, 1-1.
Garcia, 33 years old, from Venezuela. He's in his 12th season at the major league level. Two-time American League All-Star, both of them coming with the Seattle Mariners in 2001 and 2002. His best season in 2001 when he was 18-6 in 34 starts.
Very high, 3-1. White Sox traded him to the Phillies, and they got, among others, Gavin Floyd, and now both Floyd and Garcia are back in the Chicago rotation.
Yeah, he went over to Philly and just got hurt right away. That shoulder flared up and ended up getting surgery on that right shoulder. And the last 3 years have been frustrating for him, but he's back to where he was, before that surgery.
Popped up on a 3-1 pitch. Vizquel near the bag. Makes the catch. Out number 2. J.J. Hardy coming to the plate. For more on the Twins shortstop, let's go to Jim Rich.
Well, Dick, as you said earlier, J.J. Hardy says his wrist is fully healed, but he's still not comfortable at the plate yet. But he says when this slump is over, he said he's been battling it for a year and a half. He believes he'll be a better hitter than he's ever been before because all the work he's put in trying to get his swing right. He spent a lot of time with Joe Vavra working on mechanics, and he said when he was younger he just got by on talent, but now he has to have a purpose at the plate and understanding of what he's trying to do each and every time up. Dick?
He rips it down the line. He's got another hit. 2 tonight. He's had a great series against the White Sox, and he's got at least a double. So the Twins, who got a run in the third after a pair of 2-out hits, get a 2-out double from Hardy here in the fourth.
Well, what they did when they got J.J. Hardy, of course, they had to lose Carlos Gomez to get him. They were hoping that he could get back to where he was back in 2000 and 2008. When combined between those 2 years, he hit 280 and hit 50 home runs. Last year, a frustrating year. Like you said, it took a year and a half for him to, finally, I think, and I read that article, what I got out of that article, he finally realized that, you know what, I have to, become a better hitter now. It just came natural. Now I've got to really work at it. And he really credits Joe Vavra a lot about the way that they've gone about just trying to get him a little better balanced in that batter's box.
And we'll see if Span can back up Hardy's 2-out hit with one of his own and add another run to the Twins' lead. Outside, ball 1. Span with a liner to center and a fly ball to center.
You see him wearing that padded wrist right there just to protect that left wrist.
Injured the wrist sliding into third base after a triple. 2-0.
Yeah, he said, you know what, I've done it, my whole career. That's the way I slide. And he said for some reason I slid on that wrist when I slid in the third, and they ended up hurting him. Put him on a disabled list. He's come back and has really swung a great bat.
And lifts it foul. At least it was a baseball-related injury. Every year there's some really weird injuries out there. Russell Brandon now missing a couple of games because he was trying to shut the drapes in his hotel room and he kicked over a table onto his foot.
A.J. Burnett getting angry at himself.
Yes,
and
there's another one.
Hurting his, ended up, I guess, hurting or cutting his wrists a little bit, or his palms.
Gashing both hands. 2-1 to Span. Liner to the shortstop. So Span's hit a couple of bullets for outs. The Twins strand Hardy at second, and it's still 3-1.
We're going to take a look at some of the pitches that he has been able to get down in the strike zone. Again, not a strikeout pitcher. Right there to Konerko. And then right here, a good pitch down, that to Kotsay. And then sometimes, you know what, you take a little off, good movement on that pitch, and got Juan Pierre to ground out. So Blackburn doing a good job changing speeds, working in the curveball over the sliders. That's what pitching coach Rick Anderson, Ron Gardenhauer want him to do.
Drive down the line, hooking foul, strike one to Ramirez.
See, you start guys off with fastballs, but you don't put it right down the middle of the plate if you're Nick Blackburn. That's what he did to Ramirez. Ramirez, you have to know, this guy comes up to the plate wanting to swing at the first pitch. There are some guys that come up and might take a strike. Wade Boggs was great at doing that. But there are other guys that come up and they're ready to swing. And that was too good of a fastball right there. Now work the corners and keep the ball down to this guy.
Doubled down the line past a diving Valencia his first time up. And Blackburn comes inside and hits Ramirez, and he'll take first base. Ramirez, it seemed like he yelped before the ball hit him.
I think that ball ended up hitting him in the stomach. Take a look at this pitch right here, Blackburn. You want to make sure you miss. If you miss inside, they got him right in the gut.
He did that throughout his first at bat, you know, motioning and acting like he was going to bunt, and then he ended up slashing a double past Valencia.
Well, you know what? I mean, his momentum is kind of leaning into, you know, the pitch because he wanted to bring that bat to try to fake the bunt. And let's take a listen to this.
Well, not before he got hit, but immediately afterwards. Ramirez aboard, and here's Ramon Castro. Up high, ball one.
Now, Joe Mauer, this is an okay visit right here. You don't want Mauer going out too many times like he did the other night. But right here, you know, get the ball down. Just a little reminder without pitching coach Rick Anderson going out there. This is the time of the ball game at 63 pitches for Blackburn. If he keeps that ball down in the strike zone, he's going to get more sink than he did the first couple innings, because as a starting pitcher, when you're out there every 4 or 5 days, you know, you overthrow a little bit the first 2 or 3 innings. Now it's even more important for Blackburn to keep the ball down. He'll get that natural sink.
And that's been part of the problem for Blackburn. He's been so ineffective, he hasn't gotten to that point with his arm tiring to get the sink on the fastball because he's been knocked out early so many times. 62 pitches in his last start. A few starts ago he only got 50 in. 67 a couple of starts before that. 1-1 to Castro. Popped up behind the plate, now to play. 1-2. Rick Anderson has met with Blackburn individually along with the manager Ron Gardenhauer, trying to get his season turned around. Believe it or not, it was considered a strength of this Twins team at the start of the year. Even though they didn't have a dominant number one guy like a Johan Santana, they had balance 1 through 5 in the rotation, and that balance would give them a good chance to win every time out. At least that was the theory. There's a call, third strike, one away.
Castro jumping away, and he said, you know what, give my pitcher the same call. But here's that little bit of movement right here off the fastball from Blackburn. Watch that. See the movement go inside? And here we saw the home plate umpire, Dan Iasana, giving away. Now he's giving it in. So Blackburn picks up his first strikeout of the ball game, a call third strike.
And here's Beckham, who's driven in the only Chicago run with a single to left back in the third inning. And he drives it to left center field. Span will play it on a hop. Ramirez will go to third. So Beckham continues to pick up hits in clusters against the Twins. And the White Sox get the tying run aboard here with 1 out in the 5th. Arby's trivia: were the 4 players with 400 career home runs and 10 Gold Gloves. And you're looking at one of them.
Andrew Jones, one of them.
We started issuing the Gold Glove Award, I want to say, in the late 50s. The Rawlings Gold Glove Award. I believe that's true. Here is Pierre. Runners at first and third, one away. Pierre awfully fast. Tough guy to double up. Missing inside, ball one. Missing inside again, 2-0.
Let's take a look at this pitch to Gordon Beckham again. He came in hitting .357 against the Twins in his 20 games, and you can see where that pitch is. We came out of the break, starting this inning, showing good pitches down in the strike zone. Get the ball back down.
And first pitch fastballs. Rios leading off the fourth inning took a first pitch fastball and lined the base hit. Now 2-0 to Pierre. Missing again.
Again, I don't know why they're going inside right here. Let him hit that little ground ball, and you know, if I'm in this situation, I don't want to walk this guy. He's not going to hurt me. I'm going to get an out right here out of this guy. I just feel it. If you can just throw that sinker down and away. Yeah, you give up a run, but you get an out.
And again, they come inside to cover the corner for a strike. That's clearly their approach here against Pierre. Even in his earlier at bats, they've tried to work him inside. Three and one, and I think almost exclusively fastballs to him.
I believe Ozzie Guillen put a hit and run on in Pierre's last at bat, but Beckham getting a throw over from Blackburn. Beckham with 4 stolen bases in 7 attempts.
There's 2 on the outside corner.
There's a good pitch right there. Make him swing the bat.
5 pitches. I think they've all been fastballs to Pierre. The White Sox send Beckham here on a 3-2 pitch. Here, tough to walk, tough to strike out. Beckham goes, and the pitch pulled to the right side. A run will score, and Beckham advances into scoring position. 2 away.
Yeah, unless you have a hard curveball, this guy's tough to strike out. He's going to make contact, and you know, Blackburn again, a contact pitcher. Get the out right here. Ramirez does score the second run for the White Sox, but you know, Pierre, that's what he wants to do. Put the ball in play, pick up the RBI, his 17th of the year. And also Beckham going from first to second.
And now Vizquel, a bunt single in the first and a pop up to short in the third. At the knees, a strike, and Blackburn and Vizquel in familiar territory. This is, in essence, the same situation they had during the third inning at bat. There was a wild pitch that advanced Beckham to third, but then Blackburn got Vizquel to pop it up to end the inning. Two strikes. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning in Cleveland. The Indians leading Detroit 6-2, trying to sweep the Tigers in a 4-game series. He's taking on a White Sox team that didn't take over first place until the day before the All-Star break. Ryan Dunsing warming up down in the Twins pen.
76 pitches for Blackburn. And he's leaving some pitches up here this inning, and that's probably why Brian Dunsing is up. Well, see, to me, as Blackburn, he's got to tell himself if he misses, he's got to miss down in the strike zone. So Rick Anderson sitting for a while. Now he's standing and watching.
And Kadire snags the
Good pitch
line drive.
down in the strike zone.
So Blackburn gives up one after hitting the leadoff batter, but still 5 pretty good innings, and the Twins still lead by a run. Nick Blackburn, couple of earned runs allowed in 5 innings, an encouraging sign. Jim Rich, Bert Blylev, and Dick Bramer, glad you're with us. It's turned into a beautiful afternoon again here at Target Field.
You know what Blackburn's done a good job of here is staying away from the multi-run innings. Over his last 8 starts, every start he had an inning where at least he gave up 2 runs in an inning or more. So far here, only a couple runs, but 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 5th. Good job of damage control.
1-0 to Hudson. He'll be followed by Mauer and then Kubel. A switch hitter and a pair of lefties. Statistically, right-handers have fared better against Garcia, hitting at a .290 clip. Over the reach of Beckham, and Hudson's aboard with a sharp single to right.
Yeah, Hudson keeping a hitting streak alive. Now it's 7 games.
The next Baseball Unplugged is tonight at Carboni's in Lakeville, beginning at 7 o'clock. Baseball Unplugged is 90 minutes of baseball talk and family fun, and tonight it features Matt Guerrero, Brian Dunsing, and Jesse Crane. Baseball Unplugged tonight at Carboni's in Lakeville. For more information, take a look at twinsbaseball.com or call 800-33-TWIN.
Well, Twins with 8 hits in a ball game. They've had at least 1 hit every inning, and see if they can get Hudson around. Joe Mauer, who had a double in his first at bat.
Down and away, ball 1.
Garcia at 70 pitches, 40 have been strikes, no walks, 1 strikeout.
Miles per hour, and it hit the corner to even the count. And Hudson back to the bag.
Garcia originally signed by the Houston Astros. He was traded to the Seattle Mariners for Randy Johnson. And he won 17 games in his first major league season for the Mariners.
Nice pickup by Beckham, and he'll start a 4-6-3 double play. A hard smash to the backhand side of the Chicago second baseman, 2 away.
Yeah, you know what? The Twins have hit into a lot of double plays, but again, you have to hit the ball hard to hit into double plays. And Joe, he smoked this ball right here. Beckham getting it on that little short hop, then flipping it over to Ramirez to complete the double play. But Joe hit that ball very hard. Nice play by Gordon Beckham.
2 gone, and here's Kubel. A single and a run scored his last time up. 72 miles per hour. A big swing and a miss. One and 2. Today's high-speed pitch brought to you by Comcast.
Yeah, Garcia as high as 88. Blackburn at 94.
2-1. Garcia again, although the Twins have reached him for at least 1 hit in every inning, and so far 3 runs. He's given the White Sox a chance for a win here today. You know, when you're a number 4, number 5 starter, as Garcia, I mean, that's his job description. Boy, I don't know that you could ask any more from Garcia than what he's given the White Sox this year.
6-game winning streak.
And again, a hard smash in the general direction of Beckham. It's the second hit over his reach, and Mauer hit a smash that he was able to backhand and start a double play. Derby's trivia. I don't know whether Mays got as many Gold Gloves because his career started before I think they awarded them. But Andrew Jones would be on that list.
I think 10 Gold Gloves is a lot of Gold Gloves.
Yeah, well, Griffey, sure.
Jr., yeah.
And Mike Schmidt at third base. Kadire lifts it foul, out of play. And when Atlanta was here, we were talking about Chipper Jones being a future Hall of Famer, and at one point Andrew Jones was right alongside him. And Jones' career has fallen considerably over the last couple of years. And that's into left field, another 2-out hit. Kubel will hold at second, and that'll get Thome to the plate with 2 men aboard.
Well, he left the ball up to Kubel. Left the ball up right here to Kadire. Kadire getting his second hit. An RBI triple in the third. And right here, just reaching out and hitting it sharply. See Omar Vizquel playing off the line, so the ball hit between he and the shortstop. 10 hits for the Twins. They'd like to get a big 2-out hit here off the bat of Jim Thome.
I think they're going to get one. That's my call. I got a call here. Now, the Twins have enjoyed having Thome available to them in one capacity or another all year long, but especially with Justin Morneau out. Imagine what the Twins are able to do with Thome DHing. Kubel can be in right. Kadire comes in to play first. There's still very much a power presence, even with their number 1 home run hitter unable to play. So, in terms of the offseason, Twins hope that Morneau will get back quickly, but the signing of Thome has proven to be a very shrewd move.
We saw Omar Vizquel. He cannot play short where he did last time to get the ground ball from Thome. Big swing by Thome because of Kubel at second base, so he has to play a little bit closer to that third base bag.
One and 2.
That was the home run swing. Now this is the 2-strike swing. Protect the plate. Hopefully hit a little quail, dying quail somewhere. Then drive in a run.
Past the pitcher, but right to the shortstop Ramirez, and Thome might have cracked his bat. The Twins strand a couple in the 5th. Another close ball game between the Twins and the White Sox.
of Delman Young's 11th home run, that coming in the second inning. The White Sox have scored a couple runs off of Nick Blackburn in a 3-2 Twins lead. And Blackburn at 78 pitches. I think that if they can get one more good inning out of him right here, I think they'd be very happy at the outing for Blackburn.
See what he gives Rios here on the first pitch. Last time up, he tried to get a fastball in there, and Rios lined it for a base hit, a off-speed pitch up high, ball one.
Again, get the ball down in the strike zone. Those hanging breaking balls can go a long way. I can attest to that. There. Okay, he got it, but he hit it right back up the middle.
Another leadoff hit. It is the fourth inning in a row where the White Sox have gotten their leadoff man on. So Blackburn's had a lot of time pitching from the stretch. You can join Orlando Hudson, Denard Span, and their teammates for the first annual Twins and Pins charity bowling tournament. That's coming up July 29th in Brooklyn Park. If you'd like more information, go to www.twinsandpins.com. I'm going to be there. I talked with Orlando before the game today. It's something that he has done, a bowling tournament going back through his days with Arizona. And great charity event. We encourage your participation. Here's Konerko in a one-run ball game. And Blackburn misses up and in, ball one. Konerko with a bouncer to third and a pop-up to second.
We'll take one of those bouncers to third, please.
Tapper foul, 1-1. You know, the Twins would like to get every inning they can from Blackburn. And as you said, get a good inning here, get him out of the ball game maybe with the lead and give him something good to feel about. You know, for a guy who's had a kind of a lack of confidence, and it would be great for him to pitch 6 innings and give up just a couple of runs. And another bouncer foul.
He almost got that ground ball. Now you're heading to count 1 ball, 2 strikes. Make a good pitch right here. Jesse Crain and Brian Dunsing. Dunsing up for the second time in a ball game.
You're saying the Twins rotation was built on balance, and it's been out of whack for about a month and a half, with Blackburn, Slowey, and Baker struggling at times. Hit hard to left. And Rios will check in at second base. So Konerko comes up with his first hit of the day. And the tying runs in scoring position with nobody out.
Again, ball left up a little bit right there. Ron Gardenhire kind of moving around a little bit. And just the location. You're heading to count right here. You see the pitch come right back into the swing. Joe Mauer wanted it away. You need to make sure you miss down and away. And Blackburn gave up his second straight hit.
Quentin's gotten a single and a line out against Blackburn. Lefty Mark Kotze's in the on deck circle. This might be Blackburn's last batter, depending of course on what happens here. There's a first pitch strike. Driven to center. Span going back. Playing the carom. It gets by him, and it's going to score 1. And it's going to score 2. So the White Sox take a lead on a ringing 2-run double by Carlos Quentin.
Well, Quentin getting a pitch and driving it over the head. Not a bad pitch. A fastball down. Oof. And Quentin going down and hitting this ball sharply over the head of Span.
That's the type of pitch where you'd expect him to get that ground ball hit at somebody. That was a fastball low and out of the strike zone.
Again, these are major league hitters. They hit good pitches. You mentioned Quentin came into this series one of the hottest pitchers, and Rick Anderson coming out and making the pitching change.
Not sure what the situation is regarding Ron Gardenhire, who normally does this. We'll try to find that out and tell you about Brian Dunsing when we come back.
Authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
And Brian Dunsing comes out of the pen to pitch to Mark Kotsay, and the White Sox enjoying a lead for the first time.
Dunsing, who missed a couple of games ago with a little bit of a flu, making his 39th relief appearance. Very good ERA for Brian Dunsing at 1.62.
And that pushed foul. Kotsay trying to advance Quentin to third. 1 strike. Cleveland completed a 4-game sweep over the Tigers, 7-2. The Tigers come out of the break and immediately jump into a 4-game losing streak. And the Indians will fly to Minnesota after they get cleaned up, and they'll open up a 3-game series here tomorrow night. In the air, and Dunsing with the catch, and Kotsay pops up the bunt, 1 away.
Yeah, Kotsay does not have a sacrifice. I think so. Ozzie Guillen's asking someone that really doesn't have a lot of sacrifices in his career, asking him to lay down a bunt, and he got underneath that and popped it straight up. So what Kotsay was trying to do was advance Quentin from second to third, but see right there, kind of jabbed at it, and that created a little pop-up.
Here's Ramirez. Pair of runs scored, doubled down the line and scored leading off the third, and then Blackburn hit him in the ribs or the stomach leading off the 5th inning, and the White Sox got him around to score on a Pierre ground ball.
Yeah, Joe might have got crossed up right there. He's going out to talk to Dunsing. Watch Joe's reaction to this. He's sitting outside and ends up inside. So make sure you have your signals straight. A lot of times, with a runner at second, you go through a set of signs, different indicators. See Joe touching certain areas. Chest protector, shin guard, his mask.
And missing again, 2-0. Twins had a couple of 2-run leads earlier in the day. Now the White Sox have a 1-run lead. Off the outside corner, 3-0.
We'll try to change up right there at 83 miles an hour. And they're going to go ahead and walk and set up the double play for Castro.
Be an intentional walk that'll put Ramirez aboard for the 3rd time today. First and second, 1 down. If the Twins make a change in the rotation, either in Blackburn's spot, although I think he's pitched well enough probably to retain that spot, Slowey's spot, if Baker can't come back from his cortisone shot that hopefully quieted down his elbow, Dunsing would be the logical candidate to fill a rotation spot, but he needs to be stretched out before he can assume a start. Castro with a bouncer to third and a strikeout.
Oh boy, what a jump.
And Mauer hesitated and then threw to third, and Valencia actually dug out a low throw.
Well, you know, Dunsing was not paying attention to him. The middle infielders weren't paying attention to Quinton at all, and he got a great jump. Take a look at Quinton right here taking off. Joe Mauer does hesitate a little bit, but they throw a little low and smothered by Valencia, who's over there getting that little short hop. So Quinton, kind of a surprise stolen base, his first stolen base of the year.
First and third, 1 away. And the pitch, a strike to Castro. Joe was looking for in Ramirez's direction to see if he was going to try to steal second. And there's a base hit up the middle, and the White Sox lead by 2. So Castro hits a 3-hopper over the middle. And Quinton scores, and Blackburn's log is complete.
Well, you're looking for the ground ball. You get the ground ball, and watch Dunsing's reaction. He thought, oh, no, I'm going to pull away because I think my shortstop's there. Instead, Hardy unable to get that ball.
So now Blackburn, 5+ innings pitched and 5 earned runs allowed, and the day's work doesn't look so good when you look at those numbers.
Castro picking up his 9th RBI.
Here's Beckham. Twins haven't gotten him out yet today. Off the glove of Valencia. Ramirez around third. He's coming home. And it's a 4-run inning for the White Sox. And they picked up 5 hits and an intentional walk. The only out the Twins have gotten came on the popped-up bunt.
Well, again, you know, there's a lot of guys swinging a good bat for the Chicago White Sox because, you know, over the last 33 ball games, they've won 26 of them. So right here, that ball right off the tip of the glove of Valencia. Slowed the ball down a little bit. Ramirez scores the 4th run of the inning. And Beckham 3 for 3 in a ball game with a couple runs driven in.
All 3 hits singles. And Ramirez has scored 3 runs. So a 4 spot for the White Sox. And Pierre will hit.
Watch for the bunt right here.
Pierre a little bit more experienced as a bunter than Tatse. There is 1 out in the inning.
There's a bunt.
And it'll hit the grass and roll foul.
I almost sense it. As a pitcher, you have to tell Valencia, come on, take the bunt away from him right there. But he saw Valencia playing back a little bit back behind the bag, and it was sensed that he was going to try to bunt. That's a big part of his game right there. And luckily for the Twins, that ball hitting on the grass with that spin, and it rolls foul. Stays on the grass. He's got an infield bunt. Single.
1-1 now.
Now Valencia has to come in and play on the grass. Take it away from him.
Breaking ball. Called strike. Pierre doesn't agree.
You ever met a hitter that does agree on a strike call?
Castro at second. And Beckham at first. It's down the line. It'll turn left. Good inning for the White Sox. The Twins have done a nice job avoiding those innings until the 6th. Jesse Crane warming up in the Twins pen. Dunsing having kind of a tough time here after the intentional walk. The White Sox have gotten a couple of base hits. And a strikeout of Pierre. That didn't happen very often. Out number 2.
Yeah, good fastball down and away. So Pierre had his chance. That bunt was foul. And then Dunsing dropped the breaking ball on him and then goes to the fastball. Good pitch down and away. Pierre swings through it.
9th man to bat is Omar Vizquel. He lined out to Cuddyer to end the 5th inning. Down and away, ball 1.
We had that little trivia about the Gold Gloves. This guy right here has won 11 Rolling Gold Gloves. Most by any shortstop other than Ozzie Smith, who has 13.
Hudson has it. And this long inning comes to an end. 4 runs for the White Sox. They strand a couple and now lead by 3.
Runners in scoring position. The 2-run home run came with a runner on, that being Jim Thome. But Delman Young leading the American League in that department. Runners in scoring position coming into the ballgame. Delman Young hitting .395. Carl Crawford second, and then Bernard Span third.
Young will lead off the 6th inning, and the Twins down by 3. Remember all the hand-wringing over the Twins' struggles with the bases loaded. That's turned around. Generally, the Twins becoming much more of a clutch-hitting team. And they might need a few clutch hits here in the last 4 innings worth of at-bats to overcome a 3-run deficit. Young, Valencia, and Hardy facing Garcia. 1-1. This is where I would think you really have to discipline yourself. Now you've got some runs to make up. And this guy on the mound is just out there to tease you.
Well, and he might be looking at his last inning, too. 84 pitches for Garcia. Andrew Jones taking over for Quinton in right field.
2-1 to Delman Young. The home run, and then he went down swinging in the 4th. High pop up to center. And Rios with the catch, 1 away. My29 fans, you can cure your hunger for comedy with the all-new My29 weeknight happy hours. You can start your evenings right with back-to-back episodes of The Simpsons from 5 to 6, followed by 2-for-1 specials of 2.5 Men from 6 to 7. For the complete new My29 comedy lineup, go to my29tv.com. number 8 hitter Danny Valencia. With a grounder to Vizquel and a pop-up to Vizquel. Slow breaking ball, 70 miles per hour, and it hits the corner.
Yeah, I said this might be his last inning because there's only 2 times this year in his first 17 starts that Garcia's going to be 16 starts. There's a base hit to left field by Valencia that he's thrown over 100 pitches in a ball game. So Valencia gets his first hit of the ball game.
He waited and waited and waited and got the barrel of the bat on it, pulled it to left, and that'll get Hardy to the plate. Twins would ideally love to answer with one back here, just giving up 4 and giving up the lead for the first time today. Get back on the board. You can see Ron Gardenhire's in the Twins dugout. Plate umpire Dan Iasanya came over by the dugout for a reason. And Gardy appears to be fine. Maybe his knee is acting up. Rick Anderson making the pitching change in the top of this inning. Here's Hardy. Sharp single to right and a sharp double to left. Outside, ball 1. You look at the box score, and Garcia hasn't walked anybody.
Hey, you can give up 11 hits when you don't walk anybody.
Keeping in the ballpark. There's a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, Garcia making his 21st career start against the Twins. 10 wins, 6 losses over his lifetime record against the Twins. 3.70 ERA.
That's hit hard to center. Rios retreats and makes the catch. So Hardy stings the ball again. This time for an out, 2 away. And Ozzie Guillen's going to come to the mound with Span coming to the plate. Span's hit the ball hard twice against Garcia, but doesn't have a hit to show for it.
Yeah, 3 times around, and Ozzie Guillen's going to, I believe, go to the bullpen.
He's talking with him right now.
Yeah. See how he feels. Garcia said, "I'm fine. I can get this final out."
He's walking from clubhouse to clubhouse today, and Ozzie Guillen showed up today riding a bicycle. I don't know if he rode the bicycle over here from the team hotel, but he was riding through the concourses of Target Field on a bicycle.
Maybe he got it from Joe Madden. Joe Madden travels with a little bike that he takes a trip in.
Is that
every
right?
place he goes.
Well, that's exactly what this was, kind of a little mini bicycle. Here's Span. A fly ball to center and a couple of lineouts. Ball 1.
Joe Madden, the manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, does that.
Outside, 2-0.
That's not really a bad idea. I know they did a special on Joe Madden about that. He said he loves to come to the ballpark early, put this little bike together, which he does himself, and gets a chance to tour around the city just by, riding the bike around. Good exercise, get out, get some fresh air.
3-0 to Span. Again, Garcia hasn't walked anybody. There haven't been that many 3-ball counts.
Well, he just told his manager that he's fine.
He'd better throw strikes.
He better get that ball over the plate.
Three and 1. Each team with 11 hits. The White Sox punched 5 of them together to score 4 runs in the 6th. Valencia goes, and Span uncoils and fouls it back. So on a 3-1 pitch, Twins sent Danny Valencia.
Yeah, I mean, Garcia has that high leg kick, so get him moving. Maybe get an infielder to maybe move toward the bag, might open up a hole. a 3-2 pitch. Kotze will play behind him.
Full count with 2 gone. He's hoping to catch a lightning in a bottle here with 2 gone in the 6th. Just off the plate. First walk of the day, and Garcia shakes his head from side to side. He thought he hit the corner.
Oh, another off-speed pitch right there on that split finger, just missing outside. Castro trying to bring it back, frame it, and bring it back over the plate.
And now Hudson, who singled to right his last time up. Valencia has decent speed at second. Span runs very well. Down and in, ball 1. Asked Hudson a couple weeks ago about his loose batting gloves. He doesn't fasten them. They just kind of are left open around the wrist area that they're supposed to clasp shut. Says he's always done that. Doesn't like the feeling of the constriction around the base of the hand. Pop foul. It'll reach the seats. 1-1.
Well, 100 pitches. It'll be the 3rd time this season he's thrown 100 or more pitches in an outing.
Hasn't had a 1-2-3 inning. He's given up at least 1 hit in every inning. So far, he's held the Twins to just 3 runs. 1 and 2. Blocked by Castro and Hudson. It's 2-2. And this might be Garcia's last man to face. He either retires Hudson or with Mauer on deck probably will be replaced.
I think that he's allowed to face Hudson right here because Hudson, if you bring in a lefty, he's got 4 home runs, all of them as a right-handed hitter.
Right.
So, again, giving him an opportunity right here to get that final out with Hudson as a left-handed hitter. Average-wise, the same for Hudson. Coming into the ball game, right-handed hitting 284, left-handed hitting 283. Joe Mauer on deck.
Target inside, now back outside by Castro. Glove by Kotze. Soft line drive, and he was able to take a couple steps to his right to make the catch. Twins strand 2 and are down by 3 as we go to the 7th.
Go ahead.
Twins have teamed up with Minnesota DNR to turn broken lumber into new trees. Every time this season a Twins pitcher breaks an opponent's bat, 100 new trees will be planted in Minnesota State Parks and Trails. To learn more about the state parks, go to www.mndnr.gov.
262 more days until my birthday. So there's a lot of great signs here. You are hereby circled. I'll try to get that off the telly.
Well, Brian Dunsing starts his first inning of work. He picked up the sixth inning in the middle of what turned out to be an awfully big inning for Chicago, and he delivers down and away to Alex Rios. Rios started the sixth inning with a single, and before the Twins could shut things down, the White Sox put a 4 spot up on the board. Sharply hit, gobbled up by Hardy. Chest high throw to Kadire, 1 away. You know, was it about 10 years ago, I guess, just about, Doug Minkiewicz won a Gold Glove at first base for the Twins. If he were on this year's team, he would not win a Gold Glove, because the throws across the diamond, whether it's Hardy at short, Punto at short, Punto at third, Valencia, I mean, they're perfect throws. Been a very accurate throwing infield for the Twins.
Yeah, Justin's mentioned that, but we've also, I think Justin Morneau should win a Gold Glove, a Rawlings Gold Glove, because of not only the great throws, but also the great picks that he's made over there. Not only on the throws, but also defensively. As far as balls hit to him.
Minkiewicz looked like a hockey goalie, though, when he was, catching some of the throws from the left side of the infield. Christian Guzman would throw him a lot of sinkers in the dirt over there. 1-1 to Konerko. That's hit deep to right. Chased by Kubel. And he'll play the carom, and Konerko's going to try. And he's out. A perfect throw by Jason Kubel in right field. Kubel played the carom like he'd been out there since the ballpark opened.
Well, he knew he could not catch up to this ball, and he hopes that when he stops right here, that the carom would come right to him, and it did. Spins, makes a nice one-hop throw to J.J. Hardy to get Paul Konerko at second base, and you almost see Konerko's reaction right there. Oh, I'm a dead duck. And he just kind of slid and ran back to the dugout.
Andruw Jones hitting now in Quentin's spot. Quentin got a big 2-run double and hit the ball hard 3 times today. Somebody wrote past week in the newspaper that the outfield defense for the Twins has been an abomination. And I don't think they've been paying real close attention. There have been some misplays, but really I think has given a short shrift. Here's a ball off the glove of Dunsing, and Jones, with a ball that gets by Kadire, will reach first on an infield hit. Kind of gives short shrift to what Jason Kubel's done in right field. He's not going to win a Gold Glove out there, but I think Jason's played a very good right field, which has allowed the Twins to bring Kadire in and not really miss much defensively.
This game looks really easy from the press box over there.
So a hard ground ball off of Dunsing. He appears to be fine. And 2 hits allowed by Dunsing, and you look at the totals here, they've hit Dunsing around pretty hard here since he's entered the ball game. 4 singles allowed. And now here's Kotsay. Trying to keep this game within reach, down by 3. Kotsay tried to bunt his last time up and popped it up to Dunsing. Kotsay was Dunsing's first batter faced, and now another one right back up the middle.
Little fielding practice.
Blackburn was kept busy fielding ground balls when he was in. Twins down by 3, but Joe Mauer's going to lead off the bottom of the 7th. Minnesota and the Do campaign encourage you to get up and groove your body during the 7th inning stretch. Jumped out early on the Toyota game summary, but now the White Sox have the lead.
Yeah, Delman Young hitting his 11th home run, a 2-run home run in the 2nd inning. The White Sox came back with 1 in the 3rd, but Michael Kadire, he gets an RBI triple in the 3rd inning, giving the Twins a 3-1 lead. But then Carlos Quentin got a ball down and hit it over the head of Denard Span. That scored a couple runs to give the White Sox a 4-3 lead. They added a couple more runs and now lead the Twins 6-3. Freddie Garcia worked the first 6 innings. Now Matt Thornton will be coming in, the All-Star, one of the All-Star representatives for the Chicago White Sox, making his 39th relief appearance. Thornton worked here on Thursday night, worked just 1/3 of an inning, faced 1 hitter, threw only 5 pitches.
Got Jason Kubel out in a tight spot. He'll start the 7th here with Mauer, Kubel, and Kadire due up.
You know, we were talking earlier about having your own personal catcher, and we were talking about Mike Maddox, and had some help, and it was Eddie Perez that was the catcher that caught Mike Maddox all those years in Atlanta, and Greg Maddox, and then Henry Blanco caught him after Perez left.
Well, here's Mauer. A double to the opposite field against Garcia in the 1st, and then a couple of ground balls to Beckham. One of them turned into a double play in the 5th.
One thing the White Sox have, they have some guys out of that bullpen that can throw that baseball. 94-mile-an-hour fastball right there for strike 1. Thornton in his 5th season with the White Sox, making his first All-Star appearance. 33-year-old left-hander.
1 strike to Mauer. I always thought Thornton was a closer in waiting, and he's had a chance to pick up some saves. He's picked up 5 of them along the way this year.
I was surprised that the Seattle Mariners let him go. He was with Seattle in 2004 and 2005, and I liked his arm back then, but picked up by the Chicago White Sox, traded over for Joe Borchert. Remember the outfielder,
sure.
the switch-hitting outfielder that was a #1 pick that everybody was high on? Never panned out.
Great power, but a lot of swings and misses for Joe Borchert. 2-1 to Mauer, trying to get aboard. Twins have 3 innings worth of at-bats yet. Mauer lifts it foul. 2-2.
Yeah, I don't know if Joe had caught Matt at the All-Star game, or if Buck was already in the ball game.
I think John Buck had come in.
I think he already was in.
Thornton on the mound for the game-deciding hit by Brian McCann of the Braves. 3-run double. 2-2. And popped up. And out of play. Nice pickup by Ramirez, and he throws Mauer out. Sharp grounder hit up the middle, but Ramirez cut it off, 1 away.
Yeah, they shade Joe a little bit up the middle. Joe hitting this ball sharply, but we've seen Ramirez make some very nice defensive plays. They said he's really picked up his game here and spins and then shows off that great arm he has across the diamond.
If they can ever figure out how to get him going earlier at the plate, they're going to have an all-star shortstop in Alexi Ramirez, because he really struggles early in the season, or at least has. Here's Kubel. A couple of singles so far for the Twins cleanup hitter. Half swing, but a strike. Thornton good overall, but he's really tough against lefties, giving up just a .169 batting average. Oh, off of his thigh, but the deflection going right to Beckham. A rocket right off of Thornton. 2 down.
It's a heck of a way to get an assist right there. Thornton looks like he's okay. We've seen some balls hit right back up the middle. Blackburn got some. Just saw Dunsing get one. And here Kubel taking it right back up the middle. Big smile on Matt Thornton.
Herm Schneider, the outstanding trainer for the White Sox, just checking to make sure.
Herm Schneider, a Dutchman, born in Holland.
Well, we won't hold that against him.
No. He's wearing black. He should be wearing orange.
Hey, that's right. It was a week ago today, wasn't it? You guys lost a tough game in the World Cup.
They got there, though. Right there, hanging breaking ball. Right off the left leg of Thornton, and then ricocheted right to Beckham.
A couple bids for hits here. Mauer hit his sharply. Kubel hit his even more sharply. And now here's Kadire with 2 quick outs in the 7th. A little bit low, ball 1. Kadire with a couple of hits. He continues to improve the batting average. One and one. Now 1 and 2.
A good swing right there. Anytime if you're a pitcher and you see that ball go straight back to the screen, Kadire was right on it. Doing a lot of shaking off.
Thornton trying to wrap one around the outside corner and did just that, around the corner. 1 and 2. Squirted to the right side. Beckham picks it up. And Thornton has a quick 1-2-3, bottom of the 7th.
beating it out barely. Great stretch by Michael Kadire.
And so now we go to the 8th inning. Brian Dunsing misses outside to Ramirez. Dunsing gave up a couple of hits in the 7th inning, but he got the leadoff man. It's one of the things the White Sox did really well against Nick Blackburn. They put the leadoff man on against him 4 times. And there's another leadoff hit for Ramirez. He's reached all 4 times, and he scored his first 3 times. He's having a tough time with the bottom third of the White Sox batting order. On May 29 next Sunday, the Twins will wrap up a 4-game series against the Orioles. Mid reports that Buck Showalter might be named soon, the next manager of the Orioles. Your thoughts on that?
I said it last night. You know, recycle. I was hoping that Juan Samuel would get an opportunity to manage. Buck Showalter, you know, a couple times has had chances to manage, and he's been fired.
A bunt off the plate or something hard in front of the plate. It bunted down then straight up. And it'll be a sacrifice for Ramon Castro.
Yeah, Castro right there doing what he's asked to do, and that's lay down that bunt, advance Ramirez in the scoring position. For Castro, his first sacrifice of the year, right off the plate, goes high, and then they get the out at first base. And it's a successful sacrifice.
Here's Gordon Beckham. One of the other candidates in Baltimore was, or still is, Rick Dempsey.
Now, see, I'd like to see that.
Well, he's a former teammate.
Well,
here,
yeah, but he managed a lot of
right.
years in the minor league system.
Beckham with 3 hits today continues to be a real pain in the neck for the Twins. Bobby Valentine's name was mentioned as a candidate with the Orioles.
I brought another smile to my face. Yeah, those guys get mentioned all the time. I don't know. It's up to Andy McPhail and the Orioles to see what direction they want to go, but they're in a tough division. You know, the attendance is down in Baltimore. They just haven't had anything. Now they're talking about maybe Wigginton being traded. You know, trying to get rid of you know, Miguel Tejada, just trying to get some more young, talented kids there.
Hoping to get Brian Roberts back sometime soon. He's been kind of their main guy in terms of getting their lineup going, and he hasn't played much this year. 2-1 to Beckham. It's going to be a tough play.
That's in that no man's land.
And it's down for a hit. And Beckham has his 4th hit. Well, Beckham dropped down to 9th in the batting order. Has responded in this series, and now a 4-hit game. And just what he needed, because he really struggled through the first half of the year.
Again, against the Twins now, Beckham in 21 ball games has 30 hits in 77 appearances, plate appearances. So he has enjoyed hitting against the Twins pitching.
Here's Pierre with runners at first and third, and some speed out there too. Ramirez at third, Beckham at first, and speed at the base, or at home plate rather, with Juan Pierre. Dunsing's only thrown 33 pitches, but he's given up 6 hits. There's a squeeze, and it's off of Pierre. A safety squeeze, and Pierre bunted it off the plate and then off of him. Around the lips, maybe.
Well, Pierre, very good bunter right here. Gets a pitch and then hits off the side of his helmet and his head. So Ramirez making sure that the ball is down before he takes off. That's the safety squeeze. Yeah, you wonder if they're, you know, letting Dunsing stretch out a little bit right here.
Right.
This is his 3rd inning.
And another safety squeeze attempt, and he bunts that one foul.
What I mean by stretching out is build that pitch count up, because, you know, I mean, the way that Blackburn pitched, he pitched good for, you know, 4 or 5 innings, but then he ran out of gas. And I don't know if the Twins have in mind of maybe putting Dunsing in the rotation. We'll have to wait and see, but they're letting him stretch out a little bit, get that pitch count up.
And you wonder, too, how much concern there is regarding Scott Baker and his elbow. We'll find out more tomorrow after taking a cortisone shot. 2 strikes to Pierre. Grounder to second. Can they get one? 1, 2. Double play.
Wow. Great turn by Hudson and Hardy.
They needed a double play, and they got it. And Ramirez didn't score. It's still a 3-run Chicago lead.
Join us for our Extra Bases post-game show. Al Newman will join us live to talk about the game. Plus, we'll look at the Twins bullpen and how they have been lending a hand to help this team out. And Nick Blackburn, he went a long way in today's game. Was it enough to keep his spot in the rotation? We'll hear what Al thinks, and we'll try to get Ron Gardenhire's comments on that situation as well. That's all coming up right after the game here on My 29. Dick and Bert.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Here's J.J. Putz making his 35th relief appearance, and he's on quite a string right here. He's made 23 straight scoreless appearances coming out of that bullpen. Second longest streak in White Sox history. And that's covering 23 2/3 innings.
Thome will be the first man he faces in the 8th. And when he came out of the bullpen here on Thursday night, Orlando Hudson cracked a double leading off the inning, but then he was able to get the next 2 batters, and the White Sox ended up keeping the Twins off the scoreboard, or his scoreless inning streak would have ended. Thome takes a strike on the outside corner.
That puts in his first season. Kind of when Thome doesn't believe that call right there. 1 for 3 in a ball game. Puts in his first season with the White Sox last year. Injury year for the New York Mets.
He had an expensive option that the Mets declined, which allowed the White Sox to pick him up.
He had surgery on his right elbow in June and missed the rest of the season. This is a guy that saved a lot of games for the Seattle Mariners. He's got a great arm.
And Thome goes the other way and beats the shift. He's got one, and that'll be enough. Right over the third base bag, and he may have cracked his bat again, but after hitting into the shift so many times, here he beats it.
Well, Putz has that, split finger, and that's what probably Jim Thome got right there. And just, you can see the third baseman way up there, normally where a shortstop plays. And Jim Thome, just with that pitch down and away, just rolls it softly down that third baseline.
Repto's going to run for Thome, so Thome taken out of the ball game with the Twins down by 3. And Delman Young, the hitter. Young with a 2-run homer to left his first time up. Since then, a strikeout and a pop-up or a short fly ball. Strike on the outside corner. So Putz has had this long scoreless inning streak and scoreless appearance streak for the second time in this series. Has given up a leadoff hit.
Yeah, opponents hitting only 164 off of J.J. Putz, and right-handers hitting only 100, 70 for 70. Excuse me, 7 for 70.
Down and away, and it's 1-1. Early in the season, the White Sox were pretty careful with Putz, who's had a blocky elbow and didn't pitch him in back-to-back games. I would imagine down the stretch they'd like to feel free to do that. High fastball gets a swing and a miss.
Fastball at 92. Back in 2007, Putz won the American League Rollates Relief Award when he saved 40 ball games for the Mariners.
One and two to Delman Young. Got him again with another low 90s fastball up in the strike zone or out of it. One down.
They're just rearing back and challenging Delman Young, and he picks up his 41st strikeout in 35 innings pitched.
When Putz was closing games for the Mariners, he gave an awful lot of credit to former Twin Eddie Guardado, who counseled Putz on the mental side of being a closer. And as closers go, there weren't too many who were more mental than Eddie.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was very mental, that left-hander.
Strike on the outside corner. Valencia with a sharp single to left his last time up. To string some hits together, maybe somebody can pop one here and get this game tied up. And another one on the outside corner.
Well, he went the fastball, then he went the breaking ball right here.
Close enough. So Valencia in a quick 0-2 hole. Off the glove of Ramirez. Repko stumbles as he goes around second, and he regains his balance and goes to third. So Valencia in a tough spot against a veteran pitcher, and he gets his second hit of the day.
Got an 0-2 pitch. Good piece of hitting right here by Valencia. Gets good wood on this ball, hitting it sharply up the middle. We've seen Ramirez make some very nice plays. Pitch right there. Valencia hitting it off the glove of Ramirez. It slows down. Allows Repko to go from first to third.
And now Hardy at the plate. He's hit the ball sharply 3 times. Solid single to right, double to left, and then a line out to Rios his last time up. There's that breaking ball down and away that clips the corner again. Hardy bringing the average up to 249 with a couple of hits today. Got a pitch up and fouled it back. Same pitch that he struck out Delman Young, a Leonard high fastball. Turns trying to get Repko in from third and hopefully move Valencia around to score as well. Hardy in an 0-2 hole. Protects the plate, flips it foul. You know, one thing the Chicago bullpen's done a great job of, and you may have seen it when Thornton was in. Thornton now has pitched 38 innings, giving up just 1 home run. Putz has pitched 35 innings. He's just given up 2 home runs. Jenks, 34 innings, just 2 home runs allowed. They don't give up a long ball very easily.
No, and a lot of strikeouts, too. A lot of those guys have more strikeouts to innings pitched. There's that split finger just missing low.
How do you take that pitch? You're up there with 2 strikes. How do you let this one go by?
You can see almost a split right there, just dropping a little bit low.
1-2. Under the chin, 2-2. And Castro wants to go chat with Putz.
Yeah, Castro sat down and away, and then Putz just trying to overthrow that fastball. You see Castro wanting it away, and ball left up and in. Putz talking to him right there. It might be, you know what, if I miss on this pitch, what do I want to throw 3-2? So maybe thinking a couple pitches ahead. You see Putz already with that split finger grip as the ball is behind him.
2-2 to Hardy. Got him with a high fastball.
Same pitch that struck out Delman Young. Good ride on that fastball at 94 miles an hour. Just rearing back and challenging him. Hardy, a second strikeout victim for J.J. Putz.
And now Span. Bernard's hit the ball hard twice today. 0 for 3 with a walk. Drew the only walk allowed by Freddie Garcia. Checked his swing and took ball 1.
Not too many times Span takes an over here at Target Field this year. He's hitting about 350 here at Target Field. So 0 for 3 with a walk. He's due for a hit.
Bounce to short. And again, the Twins get a couple of hits against Putz, but he pitches another scoreless inning, and the Twins are still down by 3. Turned into a beautiful day after a terrible storm here last night. The ballpark survived the storm well, but the Twins are in danger of splitting this 4-game series with the White Sox.
Brian Dunsing out there to start an inning's worth of work again, so they are stretching him out a little bit. 36 pitches for Dunsing.
And Vizquel on the first pitch pulls it foul, 1 strike. Ron Gardenhire says if you make a change with Dunsing and you do stretch him out and put him in, and then somebody else falters along the way, the Twins don't have a whole lot of pitching depth. The rotation in Rochester doesn't have a cluster of candidates that appear ready to come up here and get guys out. Glenn Perkins had a couple of good starts in a row, but then his most recent start wasn't all that good.
Well, they have another guy out there, and there's a ball that's just going to be a base hit. Vizquel getting a rare hit as a right-handed hitter, getting his second hit of the ball game. But Jeff Manship out there, I mean, he started down there, so they have a couple options. The thing is, if you take Brian Dunsing out of their bullpen, you need somebody along with Alex Burnett in case the starter only goes 3 or 4 innings.
Right.
Most of the relievers out there are good for, maybe, 1 or 2 innings. Well, there's Jeff Manship.
And you understand how hamstrung the manager is, and maybe we shouldn't use that term. Maybe that's why he wasn't out making a pitching change. But the Twins carrying 13 pitchers. They don't want to do that much longer. Dunsing with a throw to first. You're really limited in what you can do with your bench. Now, the Twins made a bench move, pinch running for Jim Thome. Repko's in the ballgame. There are just 2 players left, Punto and Butera. And Butera won't be used unless something happens to Joe Mauer. So you really don't have much of a bench to work with when you're carrying 13 pitchers.
But I think, they were unsure of how far Blackburn was going to go into the ball game.
Yeah.
They needed an extra pitcher because of the lack of innings by a lot of the starters. Kevin Slowey, Blackburn here today only went 5+ innings.
Well, Slowey's short start precipitated the move. They had to do what they did. He only went 3 innings. You come out of the All-Star break, and the last thing you want to do is to run your bullpen on fumes with this big series. It's 1-1. $16 hits for the White Sox. Chopper to short. They might get another double play here.
Very nice.
Rios bounces into a twin killing, 2 down.
Second double play that Dunsing's been able to get, and the third double play of the ball game for the Twins.
Have we played the Cleveland Indians yet this year?
I think once a long time ago.
3-game series begins tomorrow night. And to check out ticket availability for the next series and the rest of the games in the second half here at Target Field, log on to twinsbaseball.com or call 800-33-TWINS.
We played the Indians, but not the players that are with the Indians now.
That's right. That's right.
A lot of new faces.
Russell Branyan traded. A bunch of players hurt. Grady Sizemore, Shin-Soo Choo hurt. And the Twins will catch a bit of a break. They could use it because they've run into everybody's ace seemingly forever. And in the Cleveland series, they won't face Fausto Carmona, who pitched yesterday for the Indians. 1-0 to Konerko. 2-0.
There's Bobby Jenks in a save situation, getting loose for the White Sox. Most pitches Dunsing has thrown in an outing this year, 47. This will be his 45th pitch. Good off-speed pitch, gets Konerko to swing through it.
2-0 pitch. Konerko thought fastball, and Dunsing gave him something else. Three and 1. Andrew Jones on deck. Jones entered the game, by the way. Carlos Quentin injured his wrist sliding into third base after his stolen base in the 6th inning.
And that's what he gets for stealing his first base.
Hit hard to center. Span. The top of the 9th is over. The Twins will face Bobby Jenks in the bottom of the 9th. And Orlando Hudson will try to get something started.
You know what? They got some good, talented players. Ramirez, one of them, very youngsters right there. And saw Ramirez, Beckham, another youngster. Beckham 4 for 4 in a ball game. Drove in a couple runs.
The Twins had to face Bobby Jenks in the ball game here on Thursday night. Jenks entered the game with a 2-run lead. The Twins started a rally against him. They got 1 run back, but couldn't get the game tied up.
Well, good numbers for Bobby Jenks. 20 saves and 21 save opportunities. He picked up the save here the other night on Thursday night. In his 37th relief appearance. And the 20 saves, that's 5 straight seasons that Bobby Jenks has had at least 20 saves in a season for the Chicago White Sox. That's a club record.
Hudson, Mauer, and Kubel, and then Kadire, and then remember Repko pinch ran for Tomey. So instead of having Tomey perhaps lined up to face Jenks as he did for the final out on Thursday night, Tomey's been taken out of the game. Hudson with a hit today. Mauer has a hit. Kubel has a couple. Kadire has a couple. And that's to the backstop. Ball 1. When Jenks came out in the 9th inning, for the 9th inning on Thursday night, Mauer started the inning with a double. And Jenks got Kadire and Kubel before Young drove in Mauer with a single. Inside at 2-0. Strike 2-1. White Sox were reportedly close to breaking the team apart, trading Jenks and rebuilding for next year and beyond. But then the White Sox in the month of June caught fire, and they've continued it through July so far. 2-2.
Yeah, Bobby Jenks, a guy who originally signed by the Angels back in 2000 and was in their minor league system, had a lot of arm injuries. And then he was claimed off waivers by the White Sox in 2004. All of a sudden he got healthy. And he's had 166 major league saves, all of them with the Chicago White Sox. Nice pickup.
Full count. Twins will take all the base runners they can get here in the ninth. Twins have taken just 1 walk, and that was Span throwing a walk against Garcia in the 6th. And the first swing from Hudson. Foul to the screen.
Hey, look at Bobby Jenks. He might be one of the softest throwers in their bullpen. Fastball 92.
That's down the left field line on a long run, and Vizquel can't quite get there. Look at that. He's 43 years old, and he nearly got there.
He keeps himself in great shape. Again, 22 years at the major league level, and still plays like a rookie.
So another 3-2 pitch coming.
Yeah, Jenks will take his time, let the old man kind of catch his breath a little bit.
Foul back. Hudson hanging tough here. Extending this at bat. There'll be at least a 9th pitch in the opening at bat of the 9th inning. Three and 2. Jenks to Hudson. And another foul.
Well, the Cleveland Indians come here, and the Chicago White Sox head to Seattle. The crowd and this good at-bat by Orlando Hudson getting into it. I'd like for him to get on, make things happen. Twins down by 3.
That drifts outside, and Hudson with a very professional plate appearance, and he draws a leadoff walk here in the 9th.
Good at-bat right there for Orlando Hudson.
And now Mauer will try to set up Kubel to potentially tie the game. Mauer with a double his first time up, since then 3 infield ground balls. Last time up he hit the ball sharply to the shortstop Ramirez. White Sox half-heartedly holding on Hudson, and he wasn't sure what to do there.
Yeah.
The ball rolled away from Castro, and the Twins are down by 1 run. I bet you he ends up at second base.
Yeah, he doesn't, he doesn't. Sometimes you don't see this ball right here. Castro kind of handing it and getting away, and then Hudson, once he stopped, okay, then go back. But that's the play right there. Hudson would probably say, I should have went to second.
Jenks falls behind Mauer 1-0.
Well, 6 of the 8 games again have been decided by 1 run, so you know that something's going to happen here.
1-0 to Mauer. Two and 0. Friday night it was the Twins closer John Roush who had some problems with his control in the 9th inning.
Well, they're not holding Hudson on at first either, so Hudson may look to try to take second right here, stay out of a double play situation. Kotsay playing behind him.
2-0 to Mauer. Hudson goes, and it's 3-0, and now Hudson is at second base.
Yep, good.
I'm assuming defensive indifference. And that is the rule, no stolen base. Kubel on deck.
And you almost guaranteed, I'll bet your house on it right here, Joe Mauer's going to take a pitch. Make him throw a strike. And he can't. You have your house back.
First and second, a pair of walks against Jenks. Here comes Ozzie Guillen. And John Roush went through it on Friday night. And Jenks, who gave up a couple of hits and a run on Thursday night, has walked the first 2 batters here in the 9th.
You know, on Friday night, you see that from closers. We saw it from Eddie Gordado or Joe Nathan at times and other closers in a non-save situation. This is a save situation right here. So Ozzie Guillen out to talk to his right-hander. Try to get him focused back into the strike zone.
Over the last 3 years, I don't know who has hit more home runs, dramatic home runs late in games for the Twins than Jason Kubel. My guess is nobody has. And Kubel has a pair of singles, and he represents the tying run.
Well, nobody in a Twins uniform has hit more home runs here than Jason Kubel.
Takes a fastball on the inside corner, strike.
6 of his 11 home runs have come here at Target Field,
including the very first one in a regular season game.
And against the Boston Red Sox.
1 strike to Kubel. And the outside corner is called 0-2.
I don't know what Ozzie told him, but he shouldn't have come out. All of a sudden he's painting the corners.
Get your stuff over the plate, probably is what he told him. 2 strikes to Kubel. inside with a breaking ball. We saw that pitch a lot from him on Thursday night, that cutter or whatever it is that really bores in on the handle of the bat.
Yeah, he's got that little cutter, then he's always had a very good curveball too. They say in Chicago, Jenks isn't throwing as hard as he once was, so he's come up with that little cutter. He's trying to make the adjustment to the amount of innings and outings he's had to go out there for over the last 5 or 6 years.
Sharply hit, base hit. Hudson around third, he's going to score. And Kubel gets his third hit, and the tying runs at first for Michael Kadire.
Well, Jenks left one of those little cutters up, and Kubel just took it the other way. Ramirez was kind of shading him up the middle, and Kubel, kind of an inside-out swing, just takes it towards shortstop, to the right of Ramirez, into left center field. So Kubel gets his third hit, driving in his 51st run. And it's a 6-4 ball game.
And the Twins again have not had that walk-off hit in their new ballpark. And Kadire has a pair of hits in the game, and he represents the winning run. Nobody out. Strike one.
Now Kadire has 9 home runs. His first 5 home runs this year came at Target Field. His last one coming on May 8th in the first game of that doubleheader against the Baltimore Orioles.
1 strike to Kadire. And a ball. Repko, the hitter on deck, came in as a pinch runner for Tony, and then Delman Young behind him.
Jenks has allowed 2 home runs.
Pounded foul, 1-2. Jenks had Kubel in a hole, 0-2 before his base hit. Now it's 1-2 to Kadire.
Kadire's hit 3 home runs in April, 3 in May, 1 in June, 2 so far here in the month of July. Last one coming in Detroit against Jeremy Bonderman.
One and 2 to Kadire. Two and 2. Lace to right center field. Mauer's going to score. Great job by Rios cutting that ball off. Kubel to third base. Alex Rios may have saved the game for the White Sox. A rocket headed for the gap. The Twins get one, and the tying run 90 feet away.
Kadire picking up his third hit of the ball game, went down and hit this fastball the other way. Rios going to his left, gets it on that hop, gets it back in quickly, but Mauer scores. Kubel goes over to third, and with nobody out, Bobby Jenks is out of the ball game.
Nobody out. Nick Punto is going to come off the bench and pinch run, presumably for Jason Kubel. And Sergio Santos, who has not been pitching for more than a year and a half, he just converted at the start of last year, comes into the ball game here, and the White Sox put his feet to the fire.
Yeah, originally signed by the Diamondbacks as an infielder. A guy that did at one time play in the Twins organization in 2008. And Punto, the tying run at third base. And Kubel with a big hit, but those leadoff walks for Bobby Jenks has set up the situation for the Twins to come back and not tie it, but win it here in the bottom of the ninth.
White Sox playing the infield halfway in here. Jason Repko, the hitter. He was a pinch runner for Tony last inning. Outside, ball one.
Yeah, Santos a hard throwing right-hander. That fastball at 96.
Repko with 10 at-bats, 3 hits, all singles, 1 strikeout, no walks.
He has 11 Major League home runs, those coming with the Dodgers.
2-0.
But he's looking right here for a ball to drive. Hit it in the gap somewhere. Santos with that good fastball, hard slider, and occasional changeup, but he'll come right at you with that fastball slider.
Two and 0 to Jason Repko. And a strike. What do you make of where the White Sox are playing the infield? If it's hit to the middle infield, they're going to come home?
I think it depends on how sharp it is hit. Nick Punto's going to try to get a good lead.
3-1. Young on deck. First 4 batters have reached here in the ninth.
Well, you know it's going to be a fastball. Is his bat going to be quick enough to catch up to it?
Ball 4, and they're loaded up for Delman Young.
Third walk of the inning by the pitching staff, the relievers.
Big walk taken by Repko.
Well, he came after him with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, tried the little cutter. Then he says, okay, there's a fastball, but the last 2 pitches, missed down. Missed down.
This is the 47th home game in the Twins' new ballpark. There has yet to be a game-winning hit, a walk-off hit to end a ball game. Bases loaded, nobody out for Delman Young. Checked his swing, but a strike called by home plate umpire Dan Isanya.
Well, he's going to stay with that fastball. Delman trying to hold up, but very close.
1 strike to Young. Fly ball, short right center field.
That's trouble.
Down for a hit. Canale will be held. The Twins have tied it up in the ninth. The throw going nowhere. And Canaille's going to score the winning run.
Delman Young getting mobbed.
A terrible throw from Rios in center field. And the Twins win it with 4 runs in the bottom of the ninth.
This is the first fans here got to see the Twins come back from a 3-run deficit and beat the first place Chicago White Sox 7-6. What a comeback.
Hudson, Mauer, Kubel, Canaille, Repko, and Young all reach to score 4 in the ninth, and the Twins win this series 3-1.
Well, this ball hit softly. You can kind of tell right off the get-go that it's going to fall in. And Rios gets it. He doesn't know where to throw it, so I'm going to throw it in the middle part of the diamond. Well, nobody was there. Ball goes to the screen for the Chicago White Sox dugout, and Kadire scores the winning run.
Our Verizon player of the game, Michael Kadire, got a big single. Rios made a great play to keep the White Sox in front, but then Kadire alertly scampering home with the winning run, and Michael Kadire's with Jim Rich.
All right, Michael, this is the first comeback walk-off victory for the Twins here at Target Field. It was pretty amazing coming into this ninth inning in that big hole, but this team believes.
Oh, we do. We're a very resilient team. We knew if we got a couple guys on base, anything can happen. And we put together some quality at-bats there in the last inning, and we're able to chip away and score enough runs.
This morning we talked about the confidence that this team has in itself, that there's belief since you've been here since 01, how you guys continue to fight through situations that don't look like you're going to come out on top.
Well, we believe in ourselves. We believe in the guys that we have in this clubhouse. We believe in the fans that help us out. And today was indicative of that. We went out there. We never gave up. We believed in ourselves. We believed we had a chance to win, and we were able to score 4 runs in the ninth.
Talk about Delman's at-bat and you coming in with the game-winning run. What did you see from your position?
Well, I mean, Delman's been huge for us all year with runners in scoring position, and for him to be able to, float one out there, and I just wanted to make sure it was down before I took off. Got at third base and then saw that the ball was, a bad throw and was able to score. So that was big.
Pretty amazing coming into the All-Star break. Everybody thought this team was in a big hole. Now you're just a game and a half back.
Well, I mean, every team goes through rough patches, and hopefully that was our only rough patch of the season. Hopefully we can get back on the winning side of things. But I mean, you have to understand that as a player, you have to understand that over the course of 162 games, you're going to struggle at times. And but there's going to be times when you play really well, and hopefully this is the start of it.
Congratulations, Michael. A great victory here today.
Thank you.
Let's go back upstairs to Dick and Burst.
What a moment for Twins fans, 40,000 of them showing up here again at Target Field. And the biggest comeback in the history of this young ballpark with Michael Kadire scoring the game-winning run, and the Twins win the series 3-1.